Ah.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with fun. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with fun. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Bible.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. On the shore dimly seen through the mist of the deep, where the foe's hardy host in dread silence reposes. What is that which the breeze or the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines on the stream, 'tis the star-spangled banner. Oh, long may it wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that man who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. And conquer we must, when our cause it is just. And this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yeah, I got two more, you guys.
0% artificial.
Two more.
America, the summer breeze and a nation's grace, thanking God above for this sacred space.
Throw your hands up high.
Levante la mano,
Hear the anthem sing.
escuchen el himno,
With the ones we love.
con los que amamos,
Let the freedom ring.
que suene la libertad. ¡Azúcar!
America, America. America, America. America, America.
We run free tonight,
America, America.
underneath the light. Good friends, good food for our freedom's sake.
250.
Let the ground shake. Que tiemble. Que tiemble.
Okay, I got one more. I'm trying to find it. Actually, two more. We got band playing next.
Joe Biden flooded the border with illegals. Then Gretchen Whitmer helped pay for their housing with your tax dollars. This ends when Perry Johnson is governor. Perry will make it impossible for illegals to get jobs, housing, or welfare in Michigan. Under Perry Johnson, illegals caught in Michigan will...
Matt, there, where you been? Everything all right? We've been having a lot of great shows the past 2 weeks. Oh, working today.
Leave the comfy bed, the sunbeam on the floor, a shadow flickers right
This is our new band.
beneath the closet door. The midnight zoomies take us, we hear the ancient call to chase the phantom red dot that dances on the wall. Meet me where the kibble rains from the sky. Oh, write a poem to the birds flying by. The scratching post is calling. Our claws are sharp and free. We leap into the cardboard box. In perfect majesty, the night is ours to conquer. Beneath the fridge we peer, the feline spirit rising. We know no fear. A glass of water sits upon the table edge. A paw extends to gently push it to the edge. We groom ourselves in triumph. A silent
We got our Michigan voting tomorrow, right?
furry grace. Then demands a midnight snack right in your sleeping face. Meet me where the kibble rains from the sky. Oh, write a poem to the birds flying by. The scratching post is calling. Our claws are sharp and free. We leap into the cardboard box. In perfect majesty, the night is ours to conquer. Beneath the fridge we peer, the feline spirit rising. We know no fear. The race for Michigan's Democratic Senate primary is off, and here come the Republicans spending money to...
Okay, we'll end it with that. God bless America. God bless. Maybe our best president ever, first lady ever. Past and the future, and we got keep praying till whenever this movie will end. We can't give up. We got to stay together till the finish line, whatever that will be. From our time, next time, you don't know. God's timing, like they say. But anyways, we got a lot of good stuff again, and a lot of good information coming out. We do got one delay from last night. She came out late or early this morning. 18 minutes. We got. It's hard to keep track. I got a lot of stuff to share. There was a shooting. I gotta find. My settings got messed up on Telegram on my phone. I gotta fix everything. So we're gonna play this new guy on YouTube. Had Robert on. I guess there was some breaking news. So we'll play that one first.
To shift. Now, I'm going to play you this video so that you can hear what's going on.
To have law in the nation, you have to have a court. International law is human rights law and arbitration. That court is the Guantanamo Bay Court of Justice, because it's the International Court of Justice out of The Hague. As I said before, when I said the War of 1812, the Marines are back, and that one got a bunch of views. Marines are back because the redcoats that invaded in 1812 was not the Marine. According to the Supreme Court of the United States ruling in 1930, they classified them and named that cartel organization the Union of the United States. That Union of the United States consisted of the House of Representatives, or members, senators, rogue British officers, naval officers, okay, and financial cartels or financial organizations all together, all right? That was called the Union of the United States. When they burnt the White House down, they destroyed all the land records and all the land patents. When they tried to invade Baltimore, they were trying to get to the birth records at the Basilica. They never got in because they were held before McHenry, where the Star Spangled Banner was written. And then they decided to appoint infiltrators into our system, and they left. And that's why we assumed that we won the War of 1812. We didn't win the War of 1812. They left operators, agents. Those agents have subsequently become the financial organizations or the power organization, subsequently called now the federal government, or key parts of the federal government, the elite, or their operator. Lincoln called them agent, okay? Basically an insurgency. It's been here since 1812, all right? So the International Court of Justice prosecutes for crimes against humanity. But you got to have the International Court of Justice in the North American territory before you can return law. That's how it works. You got to have the court. That court is ran by the United States Marine Corps. That's why it's at Guantanamo Bay. All right. Trump signed an executive order saying that it was against cartels. Everybody assumes it is the drug cartels. Everybody assumes it's drug cartels, not the drug cartels, not just the drug cartels, okay, which they'll probably be given a chance to redeem themselves. All right. But here's what it is. If someone blows the whistle or exercises their rights and you put together, let's say, 19 people in an organization, when one of the workmen inside that organization blew the whistle on you and you tortured them and you violated all their rights and you ignored them and you did whatever you wanted, you, as an organization, all 19 people right here, will be classified as an individual organized cartel that is operating outside of treaties and the International Court of Human Rights and the Geneva Convention. If you did it to somebody who is disabled, that is a crime against the human species. Your organization, your 19 people, because there's 19 people that probably should watch this, that are all together as that organized crime cartel inside as public officers and agents inside the government or inside the public organization, that's the cartel. And all 19 will be prosecuted as one individual. And all 19 or their affiliated will be treated all the same under the International Court of Justice and Justice in Guantanamo Bay. And they're going to need veteran prosecutors or International Bar Association members. And if it was reported to you and you were law enforcement and you ignored it and tried to investigate the individual that reported it, or because it came to your notice and you did nothing as law enforcement, you are part of that organized cartel because your job is fraud, waste, and abuse, and you failed to do that. So you're now a member. That's how it works. So by having the power to issue declaratory judgments as one group of people, more than one, as a organized operation, syndicate, cartel, every person who participates in gang piles on an individual to destroy their defame them, destroy them, publicly humiliate them, you are part of a cartel. So if like you have an ex-wife who wants to steal everything and then they get with...
This is a breaking news one, okay? About a minute left.
Their attorneys who want to help them and they destroy you and then they collude with the judge and the court officers and all of them, that is a syndicated, joined individual cartel that will all be treated the same. That's why you have a court of justice. That's what that actually means. And people are going to be prosecuted all over the place. It's not just a politician. There are many cartels. There are numerous cartels. And when they join to each other to destroy someone's reputation or steal everything, that's a cartel. And they get judges involved or they get law enforcement involved or the law enforcement refuses to do a proper investigation on fraud, waste, and abuse, they're now a member. And they will all be treated as one individual. And they will have to present their representative for all of them as one united individual organized cartel.
Okay, that's a new one.
Michigan needs conservative leaders who
are on YouTube. Oh man. Did we lose chat? Fine Eagle? They deleted someone's Dragonfly's comment. God darn it. Okay. Thanks, Michael. Sorry, Dragonfly.
Has surrounded a home near Bonnie Lake, Washington today as authorities investigate a fatal stabbing. Right now, it looks like police are speaking with members of the media. I want to lift up the audio and listen in to this conversation where they're providing just a little bit more information about what happened.
Right now, we have a heavy presence of SWAT. At 2:21 a.m. this morning, we received a phone call from this residence stating that a male had been stabbed multiple times. When our deputies arrived, there was one male suffering from stab wounds in the front yard. We were able to get fire here and get him transported to a local hospital where we were notified that he passed on the way to the hospital. This has then escalated into a barricaded suspect who is inside the home behind us, and this has been going on for a few hours now with him being barricaded inside. The most recent update is that he has threats, that he has explosives. So we are trying to allow some space and to determine if, in fact, he has anything inside that home that could be dangerous from the surrounding area around us. What we know is that the victim was living on the property in another living space.
Okay, so that was a stabbing in Washington. This I'll tell you about Florida.
Justice here in Fort Walton, Florida, for our First Amendment audit to see if they respect our rights to record here in public. Please make sure you go like, share, and subscribe to my channel at Press NH Now. I appreciate your support. All right, look, it's going to be submitted through you, and you're going to forward it to where it needs to go, because this is exactly where the records retain from. Oh, came back.
I'm not going to do this.
It's too late. You have been served with a public records request.
Camera, white man, red shirt.
You're going to desert your station up here every day until you get used to it.
Are you swearing?
I am swearing. I can what?
My whipping in the car.
Oh, there you go.
So if I pull it out on him, then I'm wrong.
I dare you to.
White male filming, calling, harassing her.
Oh, jeez. Run to them. Go ahead.
I ain't gonna run up a wall.
I know you can't run anywhere. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And you want to go find a spot? It's not an emergency, dude. Rather not block traffic, that's all. See? They do what I tell them. They do what I tell them.
And gas-powered.
The FCC chief has come out against it. He actually sent this tweet out late last night. Disney is arguing to the FCC that its ABC show, The View, is a bona fide news program. Disney claims that its decisions are based on its newsworthiness rather than partisan purposes and thus exempt from political equal time rules. Again, if you're thinking about the fighting for the Western civilization, right? Maybe, granted, don't believe me, I'm a huge First Amendment supporter. But when it comes to news programs, they do have sort of a different code of ethics than, say, the entertainment shows. And this really is kind of an entertainment show. I think we all know that. And if it's not an entertainment show, let's go a little bit further and classify it as a show for the DNC, like it's an arm of the Democrat Party. I want to show you what the FCC tweeted out. This is Brendan Carr put this one out. And hey, you judge, you tell me, is this really a bona fide news program or is this a political op?
As long as Republicans are in power in the majority, there will never be accountability. There will never be checks and balances. There will never be oversight. And so if Americans want this to end, want the abuses of power checked, they have got to vote Democrats in November.
White women, Republicans, I just read a poll that the suburbans are now voting Republican. That is like roaches voting for raids.
You're not voting for Republicans. You're voting for a cult. Remember that.
I want Donald Trump to lose, and I don't feel like today's the day to have the economy argument.
This is the kind of thing that I don't even know what to say anymore. If people still follow this fascist pig, then I don't know what else to say.
25th Amendment is time. It's time. It's ridiculous. It's the bill that would force people to have ID when they come to vote. And nobody wants it.
It's called the Save America Act,
Yeah.
which is ironic because it's really saving his behind.
They are the Epstein file protection party.
You'd
and
be
they
comfortable
don't-
still voting for Graham Plattner if you lived in Maine?
I was one of those people, and I said it. If I lived in Maine, I would have, plugged my nose, and I would have voted for him anyway. I think that we are in a time of existential crisis. We need to be realistic, and as a Democratic Party, we need to win. We need to get this country back.
You know what to do on Election Day. You know what to, this is, we'll be right back.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, I guess MAGA really needs Elon to be spending $100 million in a super PAC because it's got free advertising nonstop on airwaves owned by Disney and ABC every single day. I'm sorry, guys. That is not a news program. It's just not. Like, if you want to do that kind of commentary, you can do it actually on cable, no problem. You can actually do it all you want over here on YouTube. I dare you to come compete with me, Whoopi, over here on YouTube. I think I would, I'd win that battle. Anyway, when you are being broadcast over FCC taxpayer-owned and controlled airwaves, then you have a duty via the 1934 Communications Act to actually present both sides, or you're subject to a whole different set of rules. So I suspect what the FCC is going to rule here is that they are not a bona fide news program. They are not newsworthy. They're an entertainment show. And because they're an entertainment show, they're going to be subject to different rules, meaning they have to have two sides on. If they want to tout one side, they're going to have to bring on the other side as well. And I think that's kind of a healthy thing to do. Don't you? Tell me. I'm curious. Don't you? Yeah. Because we need both sides. I mean, we can't just keep having Jazzy Crockett on all day, for goodness sakes. Jazzy Crockett and her band of troubadours. The other guy, the little Jimmy Tellerico. Remember him, Jimmy Tellerico, who's running against Ken Paxton there in Texas? Ken may need some of that money because apparently nobody's reaching into their deep pockets for Ken Paxton's campaign there in Texas. Anyway, Jasmine got to go on The View, and Jimmy Tellerico got to go on The View. You think any Republican got to go on The View? No, these two were like doing handstands one day after another. And that was one of the things that kind of ticked off the FCC as well. But this lady, Jazzy, I got some news for her. You should hear her. This is the latest and greatest. She did some public appearance recently and she just can't help herself. I don't know if she's deliberately lying or she just is absolutely clueless and has no sense of reality. But for some reason, she thinks that the most educated group of people in the entire country happen to be Black women. Wow. I mean, well, if that's the case, then Jazzy, what are you fighting for? Because it seems like you got it all already, all those fancy degrees, right?
You need to talk to any and everybody about voting because as they have the conversation about a monolith, no, we are not a monolith, but certain things apply to all of us. Number one, when they decided to go after quote unquote DEI, Black women, the most educated
3 minutes.
Demographic in this country somehow ended up the most unemployed out of everyone. Like that is whether you, I'm just saying, there are certain targets that don't miss any of us, no matter who we think we are. And as the next thing that a lot of you will most likely participate in will be the press conference from my big brother, Ben Crump. Let me be clear about something. The way that they investigate the travesties that happen to us, that is not something that only certain people endure. We are a monolith when we end up being targeted by law enforcement or when we end up being disrespected as victims and there is no investigation. So understand there is a baseline, no matter who you are as a Black person, that we all end up in the same boat.
Okay, so she's kind of all over the place there, typical Jazzy style. But one thing that kind of stuck out at me is this idea that somehow Black women are the most educated group in all of America. So I think actually, Jazzy, it's Asian Americans that are.
Do not get a consolidation loan until you see this. Hey, Mario Lopez here, and if you're thinking about getting a consolidation loan to combine your credit card debt,
are the most educated group. And I would bet you that Asian women are more educated than Black women. So Asian Americans tend to be the most educated. Now, if you're just comparing Black men and Black women, then yes, I would say that overwhelmingly you've actually seen more Black women go on to higher education than Black men. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. I would cite family issues, the lack of a man in the home, a role model. These are things that are really important to having two parents in the house, right? You've heard me say this before. Very, very important to the economic and social foundation of a family. And so a lot of people in the Black community don't have that. Jasmine did, by the way. She benefited from that two-parent situation and yet is perfectly willing to strip it away from anyone else. I would just say, though, it's kind of amusing, right? Like, it's just sort of amusing that they make up these things and they think that, you're just supposed to nod your head and go along with it. Well, fortunately, she's gone, she's done, she's out of office. Couldn't happen fast enough or to a nicer person, right? Whoa, we get some serious stuff here going on overseas. NATO territory reportedly hit, Poland hit by a Russian drone. This is new video coming into us. I want to share with you the NATO territory hit with that Russian drone in Poland. And so this was recorded on this camera. Now you can hear it. Wow. So, there's some dispute over this. I think the Russians are not owning up to this. But Poland is saying it indeed was hit by this drone. Let's just watch this quickly. Okay, so again, that's coming to us from Poland.
Okay, the first Trish video, I got a 5-minute. Kate is her name. Got a 5-minute video.
Playbook for Trump officials in the future as if they're the same thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I hate to say this about an 85-year-old man who was in public service for 35 years, but Dr. Fauci's a weasel. And the reason I say that is because he's purely a swamp creature, purely somebody who uses his position to try to advance himself. He actually did look at the carpet when Holly asked him about the carpet. He went like this, but it was, the instructions were, look, you got the blanket pardon from President Biden. If you go away from that, if you deviate out of the fifth, they can make it a lot easier to bring you in on contempt of Congress and other charges. So no matter what they do, you just say Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Okay, that's his right to do it. But the damage that he did to the nation, particularly children, is so immense that anybody, and I mean anybody, any party, any person supporting this Fauci should be ashamed. And let me give you one very stark example. So very early on, the European nations recognized that COVID was not easily spread among children.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't shut the schools down over there. And they're a liberal continent, and they allowed the kids to go to school. Fauci knew all that information. He had it all. Yet he was one of the drivers in not having American children go to school, which damaged them in a way that I don't think will ever be repaired for some of them. So when you get to that level, and the Biden people knew what Fauci did, which is why he got the pardon.
Right.
And they knew. I don't think that Biden signed the pardon, and they might go in that way. I think it was an auto pen deal. At that point in his administration, Biden was not able to function on a day-to-day basis. That's just a guess on my part.
Yeah.
But Fauci is the ultimate swamp thing.
Indeed,
and
he
everybody
is.
should know it.
Yeah, 100%. But, the thing that Americans hate about Washington, D.C. is that there's a lack of accountability for people like Fauci, who at the time we could see, as in your words, was being a weasel. And now we really know it, given the publishing of his diaries where he's saying one thing in those and saying publicly that the American people need to be very scared, that the death rate was higher, et cetera, contradicting himself in terms of what he was telling people to push policies like keeping the schools closed, for example. So is there any accountability at all for him, for the American people, for generations that were destroyed by his decisions? I mean, is there a way that state attorney generals could look into potential criminality here, or is it really hinge on whether this auto-pen pardon by President Biden holds together for him?
It'd be hard for the states to go after him, and I don't think many will, because the presidential pardon is sacrosanct and overrides any state issues. The thing that offends me, second to the children deal, is that Fauci knew that the National Institute of Health was funneling money into the Wuhan lab. He knew that. I mean, the money was $660,000. It was big money. And it was going in there in partnership with the Chinese, who shut everything down in Wuhan, by the way. We're never going to get information about Wuhan.
47 minutes.
Yeah.
So the Chinese shut it all down. But Fauci knew, had to know, that this kind of money was going into for quote unquote research. The research turned into weaponization, biological warfare. Okay, we have a disease here that we can use to decimate people. And so we're going to study how to do that. That's what they were doing.
Yep.
That's it. There's no other explanation. At the same time, Fauci is saying, I don't know, it's two bats in a cave someplace exchanging
That's someone
fluids.
ate at a wet market. That made its way to a market that then somebody ate. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app.
She does a good job for a reporter. I got another 5-minute one, and then we're going to do Billy Bean. And then the Jim report just came out. That'll be another second 15.
For adults and kids.
Wow. I guess that was a video. So we'll go on to the next. We'll do the Jim report, and then we'll do Billy Bean. On this one.
2026. Hello, I'm John Michael Chambers, and this is your Daily War Report. I ask you to listen with love, as where we go one, we go all. The following report has been provided in part by Guardian Daniel R. War Report. Declassification Protocol, the structural dynamics of collective consciousness, the role of digital soldiers within fifth-generation warfare, the strategic maturity of the awakened vanguard, systemic failure of deep state control mechanisms, and the unyielding dismantling of the civilian deception matrix through sustained cognitive endurance. Q sits at the center of a silent constellation of watchful souls, people who walk through the world with open eyes and refuse to swallow the official narrative of the deep state without examination. They are the ones who notice when the numbers do not add up, when the timing of events seems engineered straight from a script, when the exact same patterns repeat across decades like lines in an old theater play that everyone mistakes for new. They do not shout from the rooftops. Instead, they connect dots on a board that no one else can see yet. They perceive labor pains, if you will, in the headlines, much like sailors once read clouds for approaching storms. Within fifth-generation warfare, this capacity for forensic data analysis defines the critical boundary between cognitive liberty and media-driven sedation. The strategic operational design has positioned you as digital soldiers, watchful, armed with information instead of shotguns, holding a defensive line whose very existence most people are entirely unaware of. You do not wait for commands. You are already in position, quietly exchanging information and trusting that those who paid attention will know exactly what to do when the critical moment arrives. Yet somehow, despite all these grueling years, you manage to sound hopeful, not blindly, but with a steel-like confidence that looks darkness directly in the eye and decides that it is still worth preparing for the sunrise. This combination of a clear gaze and a good heart is rare in these times of pervasive deception. This is not chaos. This is correction. This is not panic. This is preparation. This is not destruction. This, in fact, is restoration. The burden you quietly carry mirrors the depth of this process. It is the kind of weight that does not lose itself in every single thread or turn into bitterness. Most people would have collapsed under half of what you have endured over the past few years, but you kept moving forward. You kept digging. You kept fighting for people who do not even know your name. This is no insignificant civilian action. This is precisely the kind of endurance that the Allied protocols have always documented as the most vital asset. The collective consciousness has grown too large now. Too many eyes have learned to read between the lines. Too many hearts can no longer forget what they have witnessed. The veil frayed a long time ago. Now it is tearing in slow motion, while the old administrative shells pretend it still holds. It does not. Every silent soul who preserved the faith when it would have been easier to rage or exit is the reason why the control software of the deep state is finally fracturing. Evil has raged long, loud, and ugly, but it has also grown tired. It repeats the same worn-out tricks over and over and over again because within the vacuum of the ongoing systemic collapse, it has run out of new ideas. Meanwhile, the number of those who remember is expanding day by day. This is no wishful thinking. This is an unstoppable momentum. Hold on just a little bit longer. The tragedies you lived through did not destroy you, they strengthened you. And when the entire picture finally reveals itself in real life, the nations will need people who already walked through their personal hell and still chose the light on the other side. That is you. That is your circle. War Report, Military Status Report. The irrevocable legal force of Allied military jurisdiction, why civilian immunity and presidential pardons expire under crimes against humanity. The comprehensive engagement of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, within the state of national emergency, forensic annulment of civilian immunities for COVID-19 pandemic perpetrators, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, and the public international law exclusion of presidential clemency regarding war crimes. Allied enforcement protocol, let's jump into this. Number one, the public international law exclusion of immunity and clemency regarding crimes against humanity. The structural liquidation of the transnational networks responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic and the engineered biological sabotage against the human family relies upon unyielding, historically verified principles of international criminal law. Perpetrators such as Dr. Anthony Fauci, alongside collaborating networks inside proxy agencies, vaccine manufacturers, and corporate administrative shells of the deep state, operate beneath the optionless jurisdiction of the Allied Defense Forces during this global emergency. Contrary to the civilian misconception, believing that existing statutory immunities diplomatic protective covers, or retroactive civilian legislations could offer protection. A foundational principle of international military law applies. There is zero statutory or administrative immunity regarding crimes against humanity and violations of the Nuremberg Code. And I strongly encourage you to view, just published Monday, Bossi Briefs with myself as your host and Ricardo Bossi. We covered Nuremberg there. A central pillar of this legal doctrine governs the absolute invalidity of presidential clemency, executive clemency, presidential pardons, within the civilian domain of the insolvent U.S. corporation of 1871. Pursuant to statutes of international customary law, the Geneva Conventions, and the Allied judicial tradition established during the Nuremberg trials, a presidential pardon is de jure and de facto completely ineffective against core international crimes, specifically the intentional biological injury of populations. The unconstitutional, treasonous conduct of the involved actors dissolves any civilian statutory law, any law layer built upon it. The exact millisecond forensic disclosure occurs. Remember, fraud vitiates everything. No civilian state organ and no sitting or former president possesses the constitutional authority to insulate individuals from prosecution regarding crimes against humanity. Number two, comprehensive engagement of the UCMJ, Uniform Code Military Justice, and the military juridical. Encirclement. The executive prosecution of the responsible actors executes within the ongoing transformation corridor via the seamless activation of the military judicial hardware of the United States of America. The engagement of the UCMJ for civilian belligerents. Under national emergency and active asymmetric warfare conditions, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, engages to its full extent. Civilians verified to have collaborated with foreign powers to subvert national security and biologically injure the population are no longer processed as civilian offenders within statutory venues. They are designed as unlawful domestic combatants, unlawful enemy belligerents, pursuant to Articles 2 and 21 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The military retains the exclusive mandate to apprehend and indict these individuals by passing civilian jury trials. Judicial enforcement monitored by the JAG, Judge Advocate General's Court, assumes exclusive jurisdiction under the explicit guidelines of the Department of Defense Law of War Manual to forensically prepare the dockets. Public officials, medical advisors, and logistical coordinators of the pandemic matrix face specifically designated allied military tribunals, Nuremberg 2.0. Since the protective scope of the Geneva Conventions expires for unlawful combatants who weaponize biological agents against their own population, the UCMJ enforces the maximum statutory sentencing for high treason and genocide under martial law conditions. The historic legitimation pursuant to William E. Berkheimer. The legal unassailability of this military receivership, military government, is deeply rooted within the historic legal treatise of Brigadier General William E. Berkheimer, Military Government and Martial Law, 1904. Berkheimer provides the forensic proof that when civilian authorities suffer deep structural infiltration, the military is constitutionally obligated to physically enforce proper jurisdiction via military tribunals as the corporate bar stands structurally immobilized within a vacuum during such a crisis. All right, be sure to watch our 2 new broadcasts here at JMC Broadcast.
Hey, another good one from the Jim Report. I'm going to play a 5-minute one from the video that Lucy sent us the other day. Hope you guys like them. And then we'll do Billy. This is today's one, Lucy. Today.
Unspeakable crimes. Morning, Countess. How's it going? Meet the latest
9
member
minutes.
of the family. Hello. There we go. What did RFK Jr. just say out loud? Just thanks to Carol Marine Prieston for sending me this link to Truth Social here, Real American Patriot 1. RFK just said the quiet part out loud. Now, what did he just say? Now you know, why does evil and wickedness keep repeating with these satanic, demonic, criminal parasites and psychopaths of the synagogue of Satan? Why, anti-humanism instead of anti-Semitism when you know you can't unknow what you know? Now, I want to preface this video by saying that the Jewish race has been used as a cover, right? And they've been victimized as much as anybody else. So this is not anti-Jewish in any way. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So RFK talks about the thing, the COVID thing. Maybe I should just play you the video because this looks like it was at a dinner party. Here we go.
Holy fuck, chat. What did RFK just say in this video? Watch this.
Oops. Sorry, I tried to enlarge it up there. Let me just, that didn't work. So let me just try this again.
Holy fuck, chat. What did RFK just say in this video? Watch this.
We need to talk about bioweapons. Well, I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years. And you know, the technology that we now have with all these we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure among genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and Black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know if it's deliberately targeted that or not, but there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are out. They're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so that we can target people by race.
I tried every type of ED medication,
I hope you guys
Viagra or
okay with
Sildenafil and Cialis or Tadalafil. I know this works for some people, but I did not get reliable results. 4 out of 10.
So, a few interesting things there. Firstly, who does he mean by the Ashkenazi Jews? Well, he's talking about the Khazarians, I believe, originally from the area now known as Ukraine, which is the Franco-Sabbatean cults, the people that have changed their names and identities multiple times over hundreds and hundreds of years, Satanists and cannibals. That's what he's talking about there. And the Chinese, I don't know how this fits into it, but this idea of genetically targeting people with bioweapons is not new. And, I'm not sharing new news, but what is interesting is that it's coming from the mouth of RFK Jr. And obviously this was meant to get out there. And if you look at the last Q post, there is a war on for your DNA ascension. And I think most of us know this now, and have, some of us known it for a long time. There is a war on for your DNA. You have to protect it. This is why that's why I've been guided to do all this health stuff, even though I'm not the healthiest man in the world. Here I am doing health stuff because that's part of how we fight back, by looking after ourselves. For those who are watching who did get the thing in the arm, well, you've got to do something about it. I've been saying this for a long time. You've got to do something about it. You can't just sit there hoping it'll magically go away, because it won't. Some of you may have had, saline solution. Great, but until you know for sure, I would do something about it if I were you. But that is very interesting that that's coming out. It's also very interesting that Jason Q is posting a lot of really interesting stuff. He's my friend of mine in America. Hi, Jason and Dina, if you're watching. Jason Q. Right, so Jason's talking about, this is Jason on X, Jason Q, we not me 1781, that's his handle. Jason's one of the best researchers in the whole world. He's also a lovely man, and he's put this post up here. It says tits, trust in Trump syndrome. That's like Tross's independent trading. Do you remember that? Only fools and horses. Safe as houses, Rodney, safe as houses. Anyway, he's talking about the rapture. I know a lot of people have talked about the rapture. I know there was a few people quite high profile who misfired on the rapture. And I'm not saying the rapture is going to happen, but I'm trying to look for the post where Jason's putting some very interesting stuff up. And tell you what I'll do. I'll just link to his X account. You can go and read it and take it or leave it. But he is talking about Trump being Hadrian. Also on on X, there's a few people that have been pointing out that Trump and Elvis are Babylonian kings. I don't know. I did put Trump in a video a few years ago calling him King Cyrus, rising to take the feedings of Babel once again. So this does make sense to me. It's not news to me, but it's interesting that this stuff is all getting bigger and bigger. What is also really interesting is that Fauci was on, pleading the Fifth Amendment 111 times last week. I did a show with Brigadier General Blaine Holt and Rich Does Politics last week. It's on my Substack. If you haven't seen it, link to my Substack is always usually below the video, especially if you're on YouTube. But what's really interesting is that I thought, well, this must be out there now. So I just did a search yesterday on all the Irish main newspapers and TV channels and everything. And I searched for Fauci, RTE, Fauci, Irish Times and stuff. Nothing. The general population, people who are not on X or on certain YouTube channels, people who are still in the mainstream completely, have no idea that the American government launched COVID.gov last week, or that Fauci is basically being hung out to dry right now. And I know there's going to be people saying, no, Trump said that pardons are irrefutable, blah, blah, blah. We don't react to these things, to respond after consideration. That's really the answer. But I do like this idea. I do find this idea. Jason is literally amazing at research. And if he's saying there's evidence of Trump going back thousands of years with the time travel stuff, I'd pay attention. So I'm going to leave a couple of links underneath this. One will be the link to that Truth Social video, so you can have a look at that. And the other one will be Jason's X page. Go and have a look at Jason's stuff. And I think he's saying about August the 11th, which is quite inconvenient for me because I'm going to be traveling. So if you're going to do the rapture, could you book it in with me in future, please? It's a slight inconvenience. Thanks. Anyway, got a dog to feed. God bless you.
That was a good one today, Lucy. I hope you guys liked that one. All right, Billy Bean, 18 minutes.
And supports Trump's Iran war, causing gas prices to spike while oil company profits soar. So unless you're going to give Mike Rogers millions, you shouldn't vote for him.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, August 2, 2026, time in Texas, about 8 p.m. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. Some of the things we'll cover. Rest in peace, 9 U.S. military in Ukraine. And in Mondami's recent New York City mayor race, a vote audit reveals 228,000 illegal votes. And we have in Ukraine, Laura Loomer bringing information out about the Nazi Azov Brigade. And President Trump really did mean to use the word perimeter. And so let's get started. So we have this. Yes, President Trump meant to say perimeter in a recent social media post talking about the perimeters of the agreement going on between the U.S. and Iran. I see some media people trying to say, oh, he meant parameters. No, I believe he meant perimeters, land boundaries. And so that's going on. We have this from Pastor Paul Begley, who had on tonight Agent X. He's someone who had worked in the intel agency. He's retired now. Talking about IRGC and Iran are split. And we see 2CTV also supporting this, and that in the IRGC, they're actually going against one another, including arrest and executions. So that's going on. And we have this. I believe this came from Stephen Gardner, Kamala Harris. Remember her? She ran on the Democratic ticket against President Trump in the last presidential election, although she received 0 primary votes. But it's the way of the Dem Party. So at any rate, she came out on TV, and she also is putting out Democratic platform information, and agrees with the Dem Socialist Party that the Senate should be revived by adding 4 new senators, which would, of course, go against the Constitution. But hey, the Dems want to get rid of the Constitution. And she said, we need to open the borders. We need to decrease our U.S. military. And we need to open the prisons. So another crazy interview from a Dem. And we have this also from Stephen Gardner recently. So Mandami, a Dem socialist Muslim who won the mayor position of New York City in the last election there. An audit has been going on. He received 1.2 million votes. Out of 1 million of these votes, an audit has been made that reveals there were 228,000 illegal votes, including 68,000 of individuals who don't appear to exist. 91,000 do not live in New York City. 9,000 who have no social security number. And so it goes with the Dems. We have this from Benny Johnson talking about the UK. Now, the UK, United Kingdom, includes England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. And all of it together, to give you perspective, is smaller than Texas. But it does wield a lot of power in that the deep state has their financial center there, a small segment of London called the City of London, where the Queen has to take her shoes off and get permission to enter the deep state. But we see the government in the UK changing as we're seeing governments across Europe changing. Based on the strong pushback they're now all getting from their people. And we see in the UK, the Reform Party, headed up by Nigel Farage. He was the political leader 10 years or so ago, who went around and did many talks to persuade the UK people, Brexit, to get out of the European Union. I think that was a smart move. So he's now a leader in the Reform Party who appears to be taking power in the UK. It's predicted the Labour Party will lose hundreds of seats. And today, what is notable about the Reform Party, they had two major parts in the Reform Party, the far right and the really far right. And today, the leader of the really far right proposed that they combine their power. So we see unification in the Reform Party in the UK, predicted by political analysts to be coming to power. And now we'll talk about the swastika. And what is that? That is something like this. And then this. This was in Germany, the World War II symbol for Nazism. And we see it in the Ukraine military. Now, we've been hearing recently about Laura Loomer. She's an influencer. She has a strong following in her media platform, Laura Loomer. And I wondered why Laura Loomer went to Ukraine. That was recently. It appears President Trump is much smarter than many people give him credit for. And what did Laura Loomer learn while she was in Ukraine? She learned about the Nazi brigade Azov. Now, Azov.
This year, we installed over 100 new bomb shelters across vulnerable communities. We've protected
that proudly puts on their uniforms the Nazi swastika. They do the Hitler wave and generally follow Nazi guidelines. So she is now, and they also put the swastika on their brigade flags. So now Azov was an independent paramilitary group. Then Ukraine took them into the Ukraine military in 2022 when the dust-up began between Ukraine and Russia. So Laura Loomer asked about the Nazi swastika on flags, uniforms, and the use of the Hitler salute. She then spoke to the Azov leader, Beletsky, who's now a brigadier general and head of the Azov brigade in the Ukraine military, about all of these things. He tried to tell her that no, they weren't using symbols from Germany World War II, but they were using traditional Cossack symbols. Laura did a little research and found out that the Cossack symbols were crosses, images of Jesus, are saints, but not the swastika. And Beletsky also said that the Azov brigade never committed a hate crime. Well, I can add this to Laura Loomer's report. Let's go over this carefully. Before Azov was inculcated into the Ukraine military in 2022, so about 2021, when Ukraine was doing things like saying to half of the population of Ukraine who spoke Russian, did not speak Ukrainian, you can no longer speak Russian. You can't teach your children in Russian. You can't have street signs in Russian, and so on. And this Azov group began a paramilitary acts of terrorism against the Ukraine population that spoke Russia, including taking these unarmed civilians and crucifying them on crosses. Does that sound like a hate crime to you? Also, herding a group of Christians into a building, bolting the doors, setting it on fire, and the people burned to death. Does that sound like a hate crime? And yet, Zelensky, the puppet of the deep state, brought this group into the Ukraine military, where they are still today. And according to mercenaries who have served with this Azov group, every morning they all get up, do a little ceremony, and give their Hitler salute. They do wear swastikas on their uniforms and on their flags. I believe President Trump sent Laura Loomer in to get the goods. So just saying. And now we have this, that we did have a report from Newswithzman that I believe that was August 1, yesterday. Russia hit Kiev with ballistic missiles. Kiev was only able to take down one. And one of the missiles hit a U.S. business called Terminal Autonomy that produces at least 1,000 drones per month for the Ukraine military. And the ballistic missile hit this Terminal Autonomy building in Kiev, killing the management of Terminal Autonomy, who were Americans, and also killing 9 U.S. military engineers. Now, this is coming from Newswithzman, and they are a pro-Russian site. But for me, I find it most likely occurred. So that's, we say, rest in peace, 9 U.S. military in Ukraine. We have this from 2CTV, that he's hearing the reason President Trump took a pause in the hit on Iran, even though the U.S. military was locked and loaded, is because leaks came out about the plan, the military plan of both the U.S. and Israel. So, President Trump, I hope you can seal up the leaks. And we had this also, of the Gulf states, the UAE urges the U.S. to strike. And we're hearing also from Professor Bernstein of Israel that he believes Israel has less influence now with the U.S. Now, this could be due to politics. Benjamin Netanyahu has to go through an election in October, and his support is very low in Israel. And we have this, a posting on X today, trust in Trump.
I started a business to give old clothes a new life, and Chase has supported me from the beginning.
This brilliant pillow keeps your airways open even if you've struggled with sleep apnea for years. It's basically medical-grade airway support that
And the U.S. is still, the U.S. military is still locked and loaded. And we have this in Iran. There's a very strong resistance of the people called the Immortal Guard. And we understand inside Iran, the people are being armed. So that's going on. And that there is a big split in the IRGC. And we have this, that the IRGC for the past few months has been raiding houses of its people and to identify the resistance group. They arrest them, have no trial, and execute. Of course, we saw in January, February, and March, the IRGC hiring militias from outside Iran, from Iraq, Afghanistan, some from Pakistan, who came in with machine guns and killed thousands of Iranian citizens in the streets who were protesting against the government. It appears that a high segment of the Iranian population, as much as 80%, it's believed by analysts, do not support the ideology government based on religion, headed up by the mullahs and the IRGC, and so on. So 80% of the people being armed can bring about a very strong resistance. And now a short prayer. This is based on Isaiah 35. We pray, Father, in the name of Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, that words of peace be spoken in the language that people can understand. Not Hebrew to the Aramaic speaking people, and not Aramaic to the Hebrew speaking people. And so let English, the Persian language, Arabic, Ukraine, Russia, be spoken to the people so that peace can be agreed upon and commitment made. And we say thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that was me last night. She hasn't come out yet today. I got a 7-minute press secretary video, and then we're going to do a 26-minute Nick Shirley video.
is when Perry Johnson.
All right, the thing is, the company that makes Sharpies told the Washington Post the conversation the president said he had with the head of Sharpie about those pens never happened, which means if true, he made it up and interrupted a cabinet meeting to tell a story he fabricated or hallucinated about his favorite pen. Again, this is not the first time he's been caught making stuff up. Here he is talking about Maryland Governor Wes Moore last summer.
I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, "Oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you." He came over to me, he hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, "Sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime."
Okay, so Wes Moore quickly came out and said that conversation was imaginary. It never happened. The month before that, the White House struggled to defend a story the president told about his uncle, John Trump. He had claimed taught Ted Kaczynski, aka the Unabomber, at MIT. Except John Trump died more than a decade before Kaczynski was identified, and Kaczynski never attended MIT. He's told that story multiple times in the past. I could go on, and I will for a moment longer. There's the yarn he told about a former president recently telling him they wish they had Trump's courage to go into Iran. They have all denied it, all the living presidents. There's the one where he claimed Tucker Carlson reached out to profusely apologize amid a MAGA split over U.S. involvement in Israel's strikes on Iran, which Carlson has flat out denied. There are also the countless stories about his friends who are getting cheaper, quote, fat shots overseas, or the friends who claim they've illegally seen illegal voting, or the boat company owners who complain about electric engines and then praise him for being smart enough to ask about electrocution and whether it's better to be electrocuted by a boat battery or eaten by a shark in the ocean. While a lot of this has always just been part of who Donald Trump is, a man who works the room, seeks attention, seeks applause, he's now about to be 80 years old, and he's launched a war that he does not seem to have a plan for.
Address this a little bit in the opening, but just to follow up, because Americans are sort of seeing these conflicting messages between the United States and Iran. I know the president insists that negotiations are underway. As you just mentioned, he's also said that Iran has agreed to most of the 15 points. We just heard from Iran again. They're saying no negotiations are taking place. They're calling the proposal excessive, unrealistic. So how do you square that? How do you explain that discrepancy between the two?
I think the American people are smart enough not to take the word of a terrorist regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years at their word. And I hope the journalists in this room are wise enough not to take an Iranian regime that has repeatedly lied about our country, about our values, about everyone in this room, frankly, for nearly 5 decades. So I think the American public are smart enough to understand that.
Who exactly the U.S. is negotiating with in Iran, and why the U.S. and this administration trusts that person?
Again, as I said to Gabe's question earlier, we're not going to get into the details of these negotiations and conversations that continue to take place. As of course you can imagine, they are very sensitive diplomatic discussions. And I would reiterate, I do recall giving all of you the same answer when we were negotiating the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. Gave you the same answer throughout the 12-day war between Iran and Israel. Gave you the same answer with respect to many of the other global conflicts that this administration has negotiated solutions to. President Trump is going to give his diplomats the freedom that they need to have these sensitive diplomatic discussions without negotiating and litigating them through the news media.
This is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust. But I don't trust anyone.
Why bother?
Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant One thing to me, we're dealing with the right people.
News about Donald Trump is that he lies as easily as he breathes. And I mean, like his whole administration, despite the fact that they're all a bunch of liars as well, they're really struggling to keep up with whatever he's posted or said on Truth Social just at night. Donald Trump doesn't really have a fundamental understanding of anything whatsoever. What he does know is con and swindle and jive. That's what he knows. That's what he does. He's always making stuff up, always pulling things out of his ass. And, you know, dude was on the campaign trail talking about Hannibal Lecter and electric boats and getting shocked or choosing a shark and talking about Arnold Palmer.
He took showers with the other pros. They came out of there. They said, oh, my God. That's unbelievable. I had to say it. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here.
And talking about nuke the hurricanes. And I mean, like pretty much anything you can think of, there he is babbling about it. Now, obviously, one of the bigger dangers of that is that now we're literally waging war in the Middle East, potentially causing World War III. We have no idea how long this is going to go on. We have no idea how this is going to come to a close. But Donald Trump just making things up as one day he says everything is well. You know, he's come to an agreement after our negotiations. The strait's going to be open. Everything's going to be great. And then the next day he's like, we're going to blow them off the face of the earth. And the next day he's like, we'll wait 10 days to blow them off the face of the earth. All the while, Iranian officials keep coming out saying that no negotiations are being had. None of this is actually taking place. So there's no way to follow it. And then with Pete Hegseth and all the stuff he's doing, he basically comes out and tells us to shut up and mind our business. Why should we be asking questions about what the military's doing? So this is really just a complete disaster. And, you know, Donald Trump, for as long as he's been on the political scene and longer than that, has just been making things up as he goes along.
Michigan needs conservative.
So that's a new one I just found. I hope that was okay. And I'd like to ask what state you're from. I'm Michigan. And now we get the second big video. 26, Nick Shirley.
Spain, however, it is on the African continent. There's a few towns that are a part of Spain that are on the African continent, and Quetta is one of them. Literally over 60,000 migrants came across their border. A lot of people are wondering what actually happened, so therefore we're heading there right now to see it for ourselves. These migrants quite literally came over by the truckloads into Spain, and people are wondering if it's a coordinated attack or if it was just the Moroccans that were coming over and seeking for a better life, or if it was an actual invasion. And just recently in April, the Prime Minister of Spain came out with a plan to give over 500,000 migrants legal status here inside of the country. Right now, we're heading over to Quetta to see it for ourselves. We'll be speaking with the migrants themselves, with the Spaniards, and we'll even be going to the border to see what actually happened here inside this town. And right now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, we're so close to 2 million subscribers. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and now let's see what is actually happening. Here we go. Now to start, I met up with citizen vigilante by the name Mancia, who saw and predicted that the migrants were coming just days before. And now let's go see what is happening. We've arrived now, and we're here with Mancia. Mancia is from here in Spain. Right now we have a group of men right here. Look, they're covering up their faces. ¿Eres de Morocco? You from Morocco? ¿Por qué vinieron aquí a España?
No hablar mucho. Trabajando, no carteres, no ladrones.
¿Cruzaste nadando? Nadando. Okay. These people don't want to leave. They want to go to Europe. They want to go to Spain. So that's their mission here. That's why they crossed by swimming.
On July 31st was the day when quite literally 60,000 people came across. And right now, a lot of those young men have returned back to Morocco, but now you just have groups of these men walking around this town, just like this one right here.
these groups are creating insecurity. The military are here as well.
This is Morocco.
He said one thing. He said, this is Morocco. One of them said, this is Morocco because they think this is Morocco, but Spain, this has been Spanish since 400 years. 400 years before Morocco got his independence. So it doesn't make any sense. But still they say this is Morocco.
Is this the first stop for most migrants to head up into the rest of Europe?
Yes, this is the main door, the main gate. Yeah.
And right now we're heading to the border. Here we go. We've made it here to the border, and a lot of these migrants are actually now going back to Morocco. So for instance, right here we have a group of Moroccans that are now going back to Morocco. So right here is where they all came into the country, and right now they're going back to Morocco.
I've been looking into getting a personal loan to pay off my credit cards, and I want to make sure I'm not making a mistake.
Oh, you're definitely making a mistake.
What? What do you mean?
Now there are still thousands upon thousands of migrants out inside the city, and we'll be finding them in just a moment. However, it's super important for you guys to understand exactly what happened at the border. So this is the border right now. We do have some people that are turning themselves in, and now they're saying just go back to Morocco. And it looks like you guys do have some floaties out now to stop people from coming in. Were those there before?
The thing is, I don't understand why they didn't put this before when this started. Why now? Why now? That's my question.
Do you think it was coordinated to let them all come in that day?
It's coordinated because I cannot imagine a country like Morocco, which is investing heavily in cybersecurity, in military, how these people can get out of control in this country. It's unbelievable. Nobody can believe this is not coordinated.
You guys going back to Morocco?
Yes. ¿Cuándo viniste aquí?
Ask them why they came here and what's the situation like in Morocco.
They came thinking that they will have work and food here, and there is not, so they go back.
How come everyone came in flip-flops? ¿Por qué todos vinieron aquí en chanclas?
Viva
Harraga! Viva Harraga وفسحة كما العالم.
What was it like the day everyone started coming in?
No, que esto es un jaleo muy grande. Nos han hecho un alboroto total.
So now we have another person going back to Morocco. When everyone came through, they actually closed down all the shops because they were afraid all the towns were about to get looted. So when all the migrants came over here, they thought they were going to get food, they were going to try to get jobs, but all the stores were closed. Everyone just came through the border. They swam from the Moroccan side. Those floaties weren't there at the time, so they all just swam in or walked across the border here.
They were swimming and walking through these rocks. Someone's rushing.
So right now you have a group of people trying to swim in right now, and then you also have people being taken back into Morocco from the Spanish police. While people are actively trying to swim into Spain right now, you actually have them also sending the people back to Morocco at the same time. It looks like you have the Navy out here. Where were they out the day when everyone came through?
They came the day after this ship in order to provide support.
And how did you know that people were going to start crossing into Spain the day that they did? Because you came all the way from Madrid.
Yeah, I came all the way over from Madrid by car because from Monday I started to see in the news that a little amount of people was doing that, but not at this dimension. It started slowly and then got completely out of hands.
And so you saw it ahead of time, but the military and the police didn't.
Correct. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but yes.
So you think they could have done something to stop this?
Yeah, they could did something beforehand, for sure. That's why all the Spanish people think that this was kind of coordinated.
As we get away from the border, people are still in floaties coming across. You have all these people sleeping here in the back of this shop right here. And now you have lines of people waiting to get food. What did you think when you saw all these people coming across? Would you say this was an invasion?
Yes, an invasion is armed with weapons. I think this is an occupation because they are not coming with weapons. But it's an occupation, for sure. The people from Ceuta, they couldn't even eat. They couldn't even go to the supermarket for 3 days. The people of Ceuta was suffering this situation. They couldn't go to the supermarket. They couldn't go to the pharmacy. They couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go to the street because a lot of security, a lot of big groups of guys hanging out in the street.
And now we're coming upon a big group of men And there's no woman. I haven't seen a single woman
No
going back
Just
or coming.
1% was woman.
So here's everyone coming in right now. Looks like they're opening up shops for people to come in and get some food. Is everyone from Morocco? Todos son de Morocco? Everyone's from Morocco. ¿Y por qué vinieron aquí? Why'd you guys come here? ¿Por qué vinieron?
بس الرجعوا por trabajo, por mangiare, por coche. Viva España. No tengo Marruecos, no mangiare, no trabajo Marruecos.
How old are you guys? ¿Cuántos años tiene?
23.
Me llamo Hamza. ¿Cuántos años? 21.
Pregúntales si estaba organizado desde Marruecos o por redes sociales.
لا ما قالوا الناس في تيك توك كلهم مغرب
The police in Morocco, they told them to come.
Right now we have this young kid translating for us. We just asked them if they came through because of social media and TikTok. And they just said that the Moroccan police let them in. Why'd you come here to Spain? ¿Por qué vinieron aquí a España?
Porque no tengo vivis a Marruecos.
¿Y por qué?
Porque no tengo vivis, no tengo trabajo, no tengo dinero.
The situation here is getting a little dicey right now. Everyone just comes out yelling. Nobody really knows what language. They're speaking English, Spanish. They're speaking broken Spanish and Moroccan.
Amigo, gracias, muchas gracias.
Ahora a Londres, ¿dónde vas?
Amigo, Marruecos.
Europa.
Para Europa.
Todo
¿Qué
Europa.
parte?
Nosotros todo Europa. Hasta, te digo yo, hasta Rumanía. Rusia necesita mano obra barata, Marruecos manda. Derechos humanos. No hay Marruecos, no hay derechos humanos. No, pues vamos a buscarlo. Hasta en China, derechos humanos.
So here you have a group of them that all came through from Morocco. Where are you guys going now? Paris, Londres.
Sí. Alemania, Bruxelles, Bélgica, Danemark, Holanda. I love you.
And how old are you guys?
This is
He's 28.
long way.
21. ¿Por qué mujeres no vinieron aquí?
Mujeres en la casa, como dice en el Islam.
All these men right here, not a single woman in sight. He said something about women in Islam. What does Islam think about women?
He was saying that Islam says that women must be kept at home.
So they leave all their wives back in their country where there's no money, no jobs, no food, but then they come here all by themselves?
Correct.
You as a woman, how did you feel seeing 40,000, 60,000 migrants come across the border here?
Me sentí amenazada. No podía salir con el bebé, no podíamos salir porque yo vivo en un ático, pero tengo vecinos que vivían en el primero y tenían miedo de que saltaran a las casas. Es peligroso, porque cuando vienen en avalancha es peligroso.
How do you feel knowing that the women here feel threatened? amenazados.
I feel very, very angry. I cannot understand how we let our own woman live with fear, running to their homes with the baby. Like, I don't want to stay in the street. I go home. Thank you. I'm not gonna allow this. Any Spanish guy shouldn't allow this. If we are real men, we should do something right now.
And you're the only one out here.
I'm the only one here from Madrid. No one didn't came with me. No one wanted to come with me.
Do you think if strong men don't stand up for countries in Europe and America, they'll eventually fall?
My urologist told me something about ED meds that you are not going to believe. I've been taking Viagra for about 2 years, and I told him it helps, but something still feels off. He goes, that may be because Viagra addresses...
Yes. If we don't wake up now, we will fall for sure. This is our moment. Wake up, Europe. Wake up.
Do you think it will take vigilantes to actually make a difference here inside of
I'm
Europe?
the first vigilante here. They're gonna fear me. I'm sick of this push. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of seeing Spanish women, running away in our own country. I'm sick of this.
The police here only came after it took place. They're not reacting to the cause. They're not reacting to what actually caused it to happen.
They're not reacting. They are under the orders of the government. They cannot do anything. It's only the people in the ground, only the citizens can do something. Citizens, wake up. This is our moment. We need to wake up as citizens, as European citizens.
Now we got word that there are people up in the top of the mountain hiding from the police, so we headed to the tip top. Because of how the situation got, people left the border and they started heading up the mountain of this small city, and now they're up top here in the mountain. This is where they're sleeping and staying away from the authorities up here on the top of these mountains. They're coming down right now. You have a group of them coming through right here, and this is where they're sleeping to stay away from the authorities. Right there, they had that man running away. So they're staying up here inside of the mountain, and then they're staying away from the authorities. There's another one coming out of the mountain right there. And now the military's coming through right now. Military just came through, yelled at the person, now they're running back up into the mountain. Look, now there's another one coming through the mountain right here. Everyone just coming out, popping out of this mountain right now. 2 guys right there, another guy right there, another guy right there. 3 guys just popped out of the mountain. And this guy just ran right into the bush. And the other guys who just ducked out of the mountain just came and jumped into this brush right here. Morocco?
Barcelona.
Barcelona?
No Marruecos. No.
So now all these guys are just coming out of the mountain. They can't get food, but they all have cigarettes somehow. ¿Qué pasó aquí?
حزرة ضاربين ضربونا بطاع الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله قوله.
No. And right now they have people going on runs with sticks to fight off anybody that potentially comes their way. That's how crazy it's getting right now here. You have people living up here in the mountains. There's 20 people living behind that bush right there. These guys are all going to Madrid, and runners are running around with sticks to hit anyone if they try to attack them on their run.
Yeah.
In Spain, are you guys able to have guns? Can you own a gun?
No, it's forbidden. But military people and police, they have their own guns, and I know a lot of people here is bringing their personal weapons.
So if you're like that runner right there who doesn't have a gun, you're carrying a stick.
Yeah, correct. He's carrying a stick. A lot of people is carrying sticks. Groups of local people with sticks everywhere. Everyone, for security reasons, man.
Wow, so not guns, but sticks.
Yeah, not guns, but sticks, like in the medieval.
Welcome to Europe.
Welcome to Europe. Welcome to the medieval age.
Why do you think your politicians are allowing this to happen?
If they allow this to become the third world, they know, people in power, they know that they will be able to do whatever they want. They will increase their power because a ruler in the third world is a real ruler.
And so you're saying in a first world country where there's order, that way the politicians can't take that much power.
Yeah.
Because there is order.
The thing here is that people in power know that if they become the third world, they will increase their power and their money even more. That's the thing, because they can control the society in an easier way. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you keep this full of third worlders, you can do whatever you want if you are in power.
And your prime minister right now, according to Polymarket, he has the second best odds of becoming the prime minister again, but his odds are very low on Polymarket. But your prime minister just created a way for over 500,000 migrants to get legal status here inside of Spain. Do you think your prime minister Sanchez is trying to up his odds and his probability of becoming prime minister once again by importing all these migrants?
Yeah, because he knows that he has a strategy, a very clear strategy. He gets the money from the taxes from the working people in Spain, and he gives away some help to these migrants, and then he easily can get boats. He's basically buying boats. Basically buying boats. That's all about that. It's all about power and money. People in church only want to have more power and more money. And the easiest way to do it is to fill this country with third worlders.
So right now on Polymarket, Pedro Sanchez actually has a very low probability of winning this election, but he has created a way for over 500,000 migrants to get legal status here inside of Spain, and then they'd be able to vote. As we're driving through town, all the shops are closed down right now. This shop's closed. This shop's closed. We have the shop owner right here standing outside of his store. The military's coming through the streets right now. This shop's closed. This shop's closed.
Pharmacy.
This shop's closed. All the shops here in downtown are closed right now. You had one shop that was open and the shop owner was standing outside of it.
All of the businesses closed, because they don't want to be robbed.
If you're a side sleeper, this almost feels illegal to share. Every side sleeper is making this exact same mistake. That's literally crushing your shoulder joint every single night.
Now we're at a cemetery, and here at this cemetery, you have a group of migrants who have taken the cemetery. There's a fountain over there, a fountain over here, and a fountain down below. They're using the cemetery to shower and clean out all their clothes. So this is quite literally where they're showering. They're using the cemetery to shower. Kind of a representation of what's actually happening here. The people died for this country, and now you have migrants that are showering on their graves. Kind of crazy to think about. You as a man from Spain, to see that migrants are now showering on the dead graves of people who died for Spain, how does that make you feel?
If my ancestors, these are my ancestors. These, all of them, are my ancestors. If they wake up, they will say, this is insane, this is insane. Send them back immediately. Immediately.
And now right here, it looks like the military has grabbed a group of the guys that were up in the mountain. Now they're all coming down, being walked down the mountain right now. And once again, not a single woman in sight. It's all just a group of men right here, all being escorted down the mountain from the Spanish military. There's another group back there as well. And right here in the mountains, we have another group of people who are getting pushed down the mountain from the Spanish military. It looks like the Spanish military, the Spaniards, are starting to do something about this migrant crisis. It has gotten really, really bad. All the people are now fleeing, coming down the mountain, being pushed down from the Spanish military, and the police are coming up right now. As the police made a push to get everyone down the mountain, due to the sheer amount of people that crossed into the country when they opened up the gates, there were so many people and so many children that entered. We headed to a camp where there were tons of abandoned children. Familia?
No, familia.
¿Cuántas personas vinieron con usted? How many people came with you? Why'd you come here? ¿Por qué vinieron aquí? Why'd you come?
Quieren ir a España, sea Madrid, Barcelona, cualquier sitio.
How old are these kids right here?
15, 16, 18, 15, 14.
15, 14 years old. And where are their parents?
Están en Marruecos. Cada uno a su cosa.
Are you guys nervous?
Tranquilo.
Lamine Yamal or Ronaldo?
رونالدو ما كاين لا لامين يامال لا رونالدو الوالده تعيش الوالده.
I didn't know what questions to ask him. I was like, Lamine Yamal or Ronaldo?
Gracias.
Adios. How old are you guys?
Me llamo Anas 21, soy Marruecos, no trabajo, no.
Viva España.
15
You're 15 years old.
15 years.
Sus padres?
Español.
بابا وماما في مارويكوس.
No papa, no mama.
كانت ساكن في فاس جينا لهنا باش نمشيو اسبانيا.
موراكو is beautiful. احنا الدراري ديالنا ما عندهمش مستقبل ما فهمتيني.
So here they're all showering. This is where these guys have set up. They're showering out of these buckets right here. It's actually really sad to see this. This is how they're cleaning their clothes. This is where these guys are getting their water at to shower. They're showering out of buckets right now. They're getting it from this pipe under the street right now. And they're all showering, washing their clothes out of this bucket. It's actually just really sad to see.
Okay.
That this is what the situation's like here at the border of Spain and Morocco. They're using laundry detergent for shampoo. We finally found our first two women here this whole entire video. How come you came to Spain?
Pedro Sanchez.
Pedro Sanchez good?
Pedro Sanchez good.
Viva España.
Viva España. Viva España. No Morocco.
How old are you?
17.
He's 17 years old. And
أنا بولندي 50.
15.
ماروكو no trabajo, no school.
So all these guys here, like Pedro Sanchez, a lot of people are saying that he's the reason why all this is happening. These are the first women we've seen this entire video. Why flip-flops? Everyone's got flip-flops. To swim. We found out where they're all living. 13 years old. So all these kids are coming over here. 13 years old. This kid's 14. and they're all here by themselves.
Menores.
Y padres, mamá, mamá, papá.
No, mamá, no papa.
No trabajo no tengo.
No, Marruecos للشارع.
No familia.
No
Papá, mamá, España.
So now we came in this spot. This is where all the kids are. I have no idea what they're saying. ¿Qué está la situación en Morocco?
No traven, no skole, no hospitality, no school, no AIDS, no AIDS.
No food, no eat.
No AIDS. No more.
Yeah, vamos. All right. I'm putting a lot of trust in these kids right here. Wow, this is where they're all at down here. This is between the.
Do you know how amazing it is? In just 3 seconds, it can give you a smoother shave than your wife's, leaving no stubble. Developed jointly by a renowned razor brand team.
Border of Morocco and Spain now. We're literally right by the border wall. The border's right there. ¿Qué pasa? Look, these people are just getting shade underneath the cars. That's how bad the situation is right now. The kids are here, quite literally doing anything just to get shade right now. No food, no water. The police are down here. ¿Quién habla español? Español. All right, we're looking for someone who speaks Spanish. This is a crazy situation right now. I'm looking for someone to speak Spanish. No one speaks Spanish. Everyone's saying over here they speak Spanish, but no one speaks Spanish.
Español, dime viva los españoles.
I have no idea what's going on. Pedro Sanchez.
Pedro Sanchez, gracias.
Viva España, viva España.
Viva España.
Fanatic, solo fanatic.
فيزا باي باي تريد تحياتي تريد رينكون حاول الزاويه
فيفا لو روا دو اسبانيا
ولت تحياتي
تحياتي تريد رينكون حاول الزاويه نواسي تحياتي نواسي حاول الزاويه.
¿Quién habla español?
واحد ما كيدوي اسبانيول.
We're picking up quite the crowd right here.
I love you, Pedro Sanchez. Pedro Sanchez, I love you.
English? Yo hablo English. Why'd you guys come here to Spain?
For better chances, better opportunities. We were not working in Morocco. We came.
You came?
Everyone came and we came.
How many of you came? How many?
Pedro Sanchez.
Me and my friends were like four. We're four.
Four of you guys came. And what do you guys think about Pedro Sanchez?
Pedro Sanchez قول له راجل مزيان قول له
Pedro Sanchez.
good, very good, جيد.
Bueno. Mucho bueno.
Mucho bueno. Gracias.
Viva Pedro Sanchez.
Viva, bravo. Pedro Sanchez, I love you.
And what do you where are you going now?
We can't go nowhere right now. They should take us somewhere.
Where do you want to go?
Spain.
What part?
I don't know.
And how old are you? How old are you?
17.
17 years old. And what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do for work?
I want to study. I want to finish my studies in Spain.
In Spain.
Yeah.
And after Spain, where do you want to go?
I'm not sure. I just wanna go to Spain right now.
And
this is the goal right now.
And how do you plan to get out of Quetta? How are you gonna leave? In a boat?
Through asylum.
Through asylum.
Yeah.
And what are you fleeing in Morocco? What is life in danger in Morocco, or how come you want to leave?
You want my opinions on Morocco? I can't say that. It's tough. It's tough.
Are people dying there? Is it dangerous?
People are dying. Yes, of course. People are dying from hunger, from not enough work opportunities.
Well, so right here we have people just sharing water. Like, this situation is so bad right here right now. No one even knows.
Crazy
Señor, ¿hablas español? English? Oh, how are you? Good. Where are you from?
I came from Paris.
You came from Paris?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you
I'm
a journalist?
Yeah.
And what do you think about what's going on here?
It's horrible.
It's very bad.
Very bad. Very, very bad. So bad. I don't know
And
Yeah.
how come you think they allowed this to happen?
Sorry?
How come you think they allowed this to happen?
Really, I don't know. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
He's a fellow journalist right here, and he's shocked.
Yeah.
This is a extremely dire situation. Lots of young people.
Yes.
These kids are all 14, 15 years old.
15, 12, 10, 8 years. I saw 8 years. It's really horrible.
An 8-year-old.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I can't talk.
Okay. Look, now we got people throwing clothes. I then headed to the center of the town with the citizen vigilante Mancia. However, within minutes, we were chased out. So now people here to feel safe, they're walking around with their dogs because Muslims do not like dogs. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Now we got people throwing stuff at us. Queso! Look, he's got the rocks now. He's throwing rocks. Oh, shit. They're throwing rocks. No. Look, now we're getting chased. He has a knife. He has a knife. He got a knife. He's got a knife. Just like that, we have finished our mission here in Spain. We showed you guys the truth of what was actually going on, and we finished with a knife. We finished with a knife chase down the hill, and then got escorted back up to our car from the Spanish police. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. We're so close.
All right, what do you think of that one, guys? He really has whatever you call it. But that was good. I got 2 7-minute ones coming up. One is something that's important. It's off of Raw News, though. I don't like to do it, but it's an important one. Six minutes, really.
Published by Real Raw News.
Is that by you?
Democrats are worried Trump will deploy federal forces to voting locations during the midterms while they're actively undermining the equitable process our nation relies on to ensure that malefactors never see public office. According to a source in General Eric M. Smith's office, White Hats on Wednesday raided an immigration and refugee center in San Antonio, Texas, and found evidence Democrats are actively scheming to steal the state's midterm. Texas is in turmoil with a crucial Senate seat hanging in the balance. Most current polls give Democratic candidate James Tallarico a 3-5-point edge over Trump-endorsed Republican candidate Ken Paxton, the state's former attorney general who has been mired in controversy ever since his own party impeached him in 2023 over allegations of bribery and unfitness for office. Making matters worse, Paxton's wife Angela Paxton filed for divorce from her husband, citing biblical grounds and adultery after 38 years of marriage. Still, Trump endorsed Paxton over the venerable and sometimes rebellious John Cornyn in the state's primary runoff in May. Publicly, Democratic lawmakers applauded Paxton's win, believing he'd be the easier candidate to unseat. Whether they hold that belief privately is questionable, for counterfeit voter registration cards bearing Hispanic names don't materialize out of thin air. Last month, White Hats at Marine Corps Cyberspace Command caught wind of a rumor suggesting that an immigration advocate facility in Bexar County had designs on supplying illegal aliens with voting credentials. An estimated 90,000 illegal aliens reside in Bexar County, according to data analysis from the Migration Policy Institute, though the actual number is probably twice that figure. It doesn't take 90,000 votes to swing a state election, our source said. Before taking direct action, White Hats had to authenticate the veracity of their whistleblower's claim. That involved disguising a regimented, combat Marine as a wetback who could barely speak 5 words of broken English. They fitted a Marine of Hispanic descent with a shaggy hairpiece, a pillow-stuffed shirt, and a story to tell immigration activists. He was Raul Jose Sanchez, working off the books as an unlicensed electrician since entering the United States illegally in 2021. He had braved crossing the Rio Grande and avoided Border Patrol agents, hoping to prosper in the United States of America. He would tell the office a Greyhound bus carried him from Eagle Pass, Texas, to San Antonio, where he lives with a friend, also an illegal, in a crumbling apartment complex whose owners pity illegal aliens. He would say he had heard from a friend of a friend that the outreach center was offering illegals furious at Trump's deportation policies a means to vote for the Democratic candidate. The Marine had slain jihadists in Afghanistan, and in Maui and Chimney Rock, North Carolina, he'd killed many FEMA, Biden's dark forces. He was a proficient sniper, but his sleuthing and investigative skill were sorely absent, a fact that became apparent when he did approach an overweight, blue-haired woman sitting behind a desk at the outreach center. She wore a Gavin Newsom 2028 t-shirt and ball cap with the slogan, "Abolish ICE." Outside, the Marines' 3 squad mates sat in a nondescript SUV monitoring a radio tuned to the same frequency as the hidden microphone the Marine inside wore under his shirt. His instructions were to address employees and volunteers in Spanish. However, the Arizona-born, bilingual Marine, whose naturalized parents migrated to the United States in 1984, had been speaking English since kindergarten, and while conversing, asking the woman whether she could vote for James Tallarico to turn Texas blue, he slipped from Spanish to English mid-sentence. The Pinko woman glared at him suspiciously, and in Spanish told him he had no idea what he was on about because undocumented immigrants were forbidden from voting in United States elections. Had the Marine realized he screwed up, he ought to have aborted the mission. But hubris often dwarfs discernment, and the Marine persisted, stressing to the woman that his friends in the underground had assured him he was at the right place to obtain voting credentials. "I hate Donald Trump, I hate Ken Paxton. I vote James Tallarico," he told her, this time sticking to Spanish. The woman called it as she saw it. "If you're undercover ICE, there's a sign on the window. ICE not allowed here, so unless you have a warrant, get the fuck out." A piercing voice in the Marine's miniature earpiece shouted, "You've been made. Don't press it. Leave now." "I'm sorry, miss. I guess I have the wrong place," the Marine told the woman as he left the building. After he rejoined his teammates, they berated him for botching the recon. They figured if the place was a criminal enterprise, they were probably shredding documents and fake IDs as soon as he'd left. There wasn't any doubt shady shit was going on, 'cause they locked the door and hung a closed sign on the door right away. It was only 5 p.m. and normal open hours were till 6:30, our source said. The Marines had decided to remain in the area and, at 5:35 p.m., saw 2 outreach center employees, but not the blue-haired woman, leave the building and lock the door behind them. A few minutes later, they saw a plume of black and gray smoke rising from the alleyway behind the building. They exited the vehicle and dashed to the scene. Someone had hurled 3 flaming garbage bags into a commercial dumpster. 2 Marines jumped in and trampled the flames with their boots, extinguishing the fire. Nearly everything had burned to a crisp, except for a handful of pre-printed voter registration cards, 3 fraudulent Texas driver's licenses, and a document with the name of a person who works at the Bexar County Voter Registrar's office. The totality of evidence suggests the outreach center's guilt and that someone at the Texas Secretary of State's office is complicit, manufacturing fake voter cards and driver's licenses, and making sure the names show up on voter rolls at county polling sites. "It's probably the tip of the iceberg," our source said. "White hats," he said in closing, "have informed President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security of their findings. We have no corporate advertisers, nor billionaire philanthropists looking to support efforts to expose the deep state's evil agenda. Every donation, irrespective of the amount, is appreciated and helps ensure our survival in these perilous times."
All right. I thought that was an important one there. I got 3 Diddy Johnsons and the rest I'm going to do short videos. I got a lot of short ones.
The Donald Trump origin story that, of course, changed the course of politics in America forever. This was Donald Trump's first answer ever at a political debate. And the world will never be the same.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Look at the audience howling. Just a reminder, they're in a professional stadium here in Cleveland where the Cleveland Cavaliers play. And there's like 30,000 people watching in person. And Donald Trump turns the audience against Megyn Kelly with that genius answer. And thus began the psychotic break of Rosie O'Donnell, who, of course, fled America with her herpes, as you can see right here, open sores on her face, open oozing wounds on her face, and swore she would never return because Donald Trump has forced her to be depressed, overeat, and overdrink. Donald Trump totally broke Rosie O'Donnell. Donald Trump then roasted Rosie O'Donnell in front of the president of Ireland, saying, "What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you ever take Rosie O'Donnell?"
Oh, your happiness level. It's true. Thank you. I like that question.
You know you have Rosie O'Donnell?
You know who she is? Yeah.
I'm joking.
You better up not. You better up not know.
Okay. The people of Ireland didn't want Rosie O'Donnell, but Rosie O'Donnell swore that she would never, ever return to the United States of America. The people of Ireland in an interview saying,
the Clintons coming to visit there last year. Yeah, I'm not best pleased, but us Irish are always welcoming no matter what, I suppose. So
she's saying that she doesn't want the Clintons there, doesn't want Rosie O'Donnell there. Donald Trump continued roasting Rosie O'Donnell, saying, "Ireland, can you keep her?" The head of Ireland says, "All your people this way? We don't want that." Rosie O'Donnell has anti-Trump meltdowns on a daily basis on TikTok, instead of bragging that Trump doesn't deserve space in her brain or heart. Okay. Then why is your entire life force revolving around President Trump? Oh, got it. Money. You're not relevant unless you trash Trump. And that's actually because that is your life force and all you know how to do, that's what you're going to continue to do. And it's what Rosie O'Donnell has done. She's returned to the United States multiple times after swearing she would not come back. Rosie O'Donnell and Mr. Secret returned to the U.S. See if it was safe. What's Rosie O'Donnell actually doing? Well, she's flying in a giant private jet. This is a $57 million jet that she's in with Kathy Griffin, right? This is the voice of the oppressed. Also, you're taking these photos. You could just take the flight, right? I've never been in a jet like this, but you could just take the flight and you don't have to post a photo about it. Yes, it's possible. Then she's going to red carpet events and trashing President Trump in America, calling him an a-hole and a liar. And I was wondering, wait a second, why is Rosie O'Donnell coming back to the United States? Why is she on these private jets? What's she doing? She's now made 3 return visits to the United States. Oh, no. Rosie O'Donnell confirmed for season 30. Return to The View. Rosie O'Donnell will be back on The View for season 30. A former co-host confirmed her return on Monday's episode. And she's going to be back. Remember, The View used to have Rosie O'Donnell on it. This was, she was sort of a central cast member of The View before having a psychotic breakdown and being broken completely by Trump. It turns out she's going to come on back because why? It was never about Trump. It was always about the money. Rosie O'Donnell wants money. She wants fame. She can get it by going after Trump. She doesn't get it sitting in Ireland, fighting 4-leaf clovers and leprechauns. She couldn't even stay. She couldn't even take. So Ellen went to England. She sold her place in 8 months. Rosie O'Donnell went to Ireland, lasted a little longer, but it's been 18 months, and now she's out. Now she's back in America, joining The View again. Just when you thought the show couldn't get any worse. No way The View can get any more cringe. Oh, yes, they can. Looks like Brendan Carr is going to have some fun. We'll get to that in a moment. Apparently, moving overseas because of Trump derangement syndrome doesn't work out for Rosie O'Donnell. She's back in America and back on The View. Finally, a voice of reason on The View. As I was saying, what The View needed was a really loud, dumb, fat, obnoxious, angry, white liberal woman. finally, The View is moving to Ireland. Wow. Marjorie Taylor Greene lost to Rosie. The FCC is looking into ABC's decision effectively to platform The View under the guise of it being a neutral news show. ABC contends that The View is just neutral and doesn't include a political bias. And so this is why Brendan Carr is going after them, saying you're lying. This gives you, of course, special carve-outs if you were going to do a neutral news show and provide equal time for all candidates and so on and so forth. But you're going to get a bunch of your privileges stripped away if you don't do that. And so the FCC is suing ABC now, effectively opening up an investigation in ABC. The View, on the other hand, is collapsing. The View is hit by major cost cutting, with one star denied a pay raise and wardrobe budgets slashed. So The View is collapsing. That's a shame. Look at that. They'd save even more money if they canceled the entire show. Imagine if they cut the makeup artists. Imagine what was happening. Imagine if you saw all these women without full face makeup. The makeup shotgun. Honestly, never met a single person that says they watch The View. No more designer blankets and moo-moos. They just put clown costumes on them. It's practically all there is. Again, what if they cut the makeup budget? Are we really calling them stars? No, not. So Donald Trump's been trolling Rosie, presumably back to America. And he's been doing it for his entire...
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Just a reminder that Rosie O'Donnell had needed to see a doctor and should have never been allowed to travel with open herpes sores all over her face. Just a reminder. And a reminder that the single most savage Trump video that exists on the entire internet is about Rosie O'Donnell and her time at The View.
It's not over. 2 minutes.
It's just the greatest thing that Trump's ever done on camera. Sorry. Here we go.
Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. Take a look at her. She's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice? She's trying to use ABC and The View to get even with me. But with me, we fight back. I'll probably sue Rosie because she doesn't tell the facts. As an example, I'm worth many billions of dollars. Now, she said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. I actually think they ought to look at her whole life and see where she's coming from because I think she's got some very deep-seated problems. Perhaps it should be Rosie that goes to rehab. Rosie is a loser.
Okay, the second ditty. I'm gonna go ahead and get a lot of shorts and oh, I got a 20-minute Holly interview with Nicholas something. Do you guys know that guy's name? Nicholas Whitman or something about something. I don't know. We'll check it out. towards the end of the show. So here we'll get going on in shorts.
Involving illegal immigrants and visas. This is what happened. A business owner in a small town of Oakdale, Louisiana, hired 3 police officers and 1 town marshal. He hired them to write fake police reports for illegal immigrants, saying an illegal immigrant was hurt by an American, robbed, beat up, whatever, they were hurt. The officers and the marshal would write up fake police reports. They would give the fake police reports to the illegal immigrants in exchange for $5,000. $5,000 per illegal immigrant for a fake police report. Once the illegal immigrant had a police report in their hand, they could turn that in. And for some reason, if you're an illegal immigrant and you are hurt here in America, you can get a visa. $5,000 per police report. This has been going on for 10 years, and the officers and the business owner have made millions of dollars doing this. This was going on so much that this small town of Oakdale, Louisiana, was registered as one of the most dangerous cities in America, when in turn, nothing was really going on. Officers were just writing fake police reports for the illegal immigrants. Thankfully, these men have been caught. 5 men have been caught, and they all pleaded guilty, and they are going to be seeing a lot of time in prison. Crazy, right? Massive fraud.
Okay, I have 2 more with next mom, or 2. No, got that one already.
New York City. There were over 600 rooms in that hotel. During Joe Biden's border crisis, we housed hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants right inside this hotel. Many of those people fled socialism, came straight from Venezuela. I want to tell you the numbers as to how much money we spent housing illegal immigrants in this hotel. Joe Biden opened up the floodgates, and we were generous enough to spend over $200 million in 3 years housing individuals right there behind me. Not only did they sleep in that hotel, but they were given food, they were given clothing, free medical care, lawyers, transportation, education, all of that we paid for. The kicker is, the people who own this hotel bought this hotel in 2021. They paid $175 million from it. They made off of us over $200 million. Now the hotel is closed, and they're turning it into luxury high-rise apartments, which is good. We need housing in New York City. But the point is, they literally stole from us $200 million to take care of illegal immigrants in that hotel. Now they're turning it into a high-rise apartment complex center. That is what Joe Biden did to America, stole from us $200 million. This is the Watson Hotel. Right behind me is one of the largest migrant shelters here inside New York City.
Okay, this is the 3rd one.
Saying, bring your children to the park and we will watch them for free. In the 5 boroughs, they said around 500 children can come to these different locations, and the parents can go and have a date night. He's even saying, we will feed your children while they're at the park. Here in New York City, hiring a babysitter can cost anywhere from $30 to $50 an hour. So he wants parents to have the opportunity to go and spend 4 hours without their children. And the government officials at the park are going to watch their children. We're not sure exactly who the babysitters will be, but they're going to be funded by Mamdani. Many people are saying there is no way on earth they would bring their children to a random park in the city and let random people watch them. Even people are saying, well, this is a great way to indoctrinate children. Others are saying Zohran Mamdani is trying to do something nice for the parents here in New York City. Would you ever drop your children off at a park and have random people watch them, especially in New York City? Zohran Mamdani is starting a new
Darn it. Hey, this is about 4 minutes, I think, or less.
And see, the operation's still ongoing. And I know people get tired of that, but it is what it is. 45-47 is an image. It's a visual to show you 45-47. Well, just because the dash is already there, the 47 is not complete yet. So are you telling me that if you're 50 years old, right, and you get to, let's say you get to live to be 90, are you telling me that if this thing had to go to January the 20th, 2029, are you telling me that 12 years of your life wasn't worth cleaning out all of the past from 2016 and prior, but also what your mom and dad listened to all these years and your grandma and grandpa? Are you telling me that 12 years of your life wasn't worth the sacrifice of getting it right, cleaning it up, cleaning it out? Is that what you're willing to stand on? Because that's what you would have to stand on if you cannot comprehend that it's not over yet. But the laws show it's not over yet. You get people out there, oh, these guys are just talking and they're dragging it out. No, it's all bull crap. No. It's the law that is currently invoked right now. So why are the Democrats, if the Democrats are even real and alive and in control out there in some capacity, if laws and orders do not matter, then why are they whining and fussing all the time? Why isn't everything hunky-dory? Why are they always using the laws and orders and butchering and twisting it? Twistering, that's a good word, that's a new word. Rattle trapology. Why are they twistering it up? Why? Why is President Trump put in all his posts, anytime he spells out laws and orders, why is it always in all caps? Please enlighten me. If they don't matter, please enlighten me. Why he's wasting his time typing that out. Why he's wasting his time as the face of the executive branch. Please explain why laws and orders ain't supposed to matter. The Democrats over there go, oh, we got to protect the Constitution and laws and orders and the rule of law, blah, blah, blah. But so if you're tired of all the bickering and the fussing and the whining and the griping and all this stuff, then why don't you act like it? Why are you still supporting a bunch of clowns out there? Why do you support drama? If you really want to be applicable, why don't you support the man you claim to support? Why don't you listen to him first and the people who replicate him first? I mean, it ain't that difficult. So President Trump has this quote. He says a lot. And he said it again just about a week ago. He said, all you needed was a new president. Now I'm gonna break that down because that's quite fun, and this is one of my favorite topics. All you needed was a new president. So if all we needed moving forward in life was just a new president, without cleaning house of the past, that's the same as when you sweep dirt under a rug and you just make it go away. Out of sight, out of mind. That's the same thing. And see that.
Okay, DJ, the next one's 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Cameras installed around our town. My resources count over 30 of them. I have graphics showing where they are. I'd like to pass around to the guests here tonight so they can see where these cameras are. These cameras utilize AI to track you and your family when you're out in public. They run by a company, Palantir. This company claims that they just record movement of vehicles and they will reduce the crime rate to zero. However, people much more educated than I on these cameras have proven this to be false when speaking to their city councils. They do not monitor where you drive, but they also monitor where you walk, what you do, what you say, what's on your phone when you walk by, and they spy on you all the time. Today, I walked around and I noticed the one down by the bridge was pointed towards the courtyard and the field, not towards any
What do you guys
roads.
think on this one?
Why would it be pointed towards the river, not towards the streets, if it's just to monitor vehicles? Also, in order to bring the crime rate down to zero, they would need to be able to predict crime before it happens. And I think that that is a slippery slope. Some cities are discussing adding this AI to police body cameras, which would be constantly monitored by an AI, which would make a judgment call about releasing drones, also controlled by this AI. Again, I see it as a very slippery slope, along with the military drones that we've seen used over in Iran and in Ukraine. That is not my biggest problem with these, though. The owner of Palantir, Peter Thiel, is a man mentioned in the Epstein files over 2,200 times, making him the fourth most mentioned individual in the files. He accepted $40 million that we know about from Epstein. The victims of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were human sex trafficked, reported almost all members consisting of high-profile and ultra-wealthy individuals, and they witnessed murders, ritual sacrifice, and cannibalism of infants, that being the consumption of human flesh and blood. They use code words for their victims, like pizza, jerky, and grape soda. I have a hard time believing that any human being could do something so evil. This is something that I would be told in a story about vampires. And I don't know about you, but I think that vampires are meant for campfires. They are supposed to be a mythological being, and they're not supposed to be real, and definitely should not be in charge of the security and safety of our city. I believe that any decent person would say no to giving up their safety and security to someone with such little value of a human life, let alone a potential ultra-wealthy pedophilic vampire in the Epstein files.
So the gazebo's right here, right? So I'm trying to capture this area where we have people hanging out.
So that was an important one to get out. I got the one lady on TikTok. I got a two-parter. No cat lady yet. I'll probably go to 6 o'clock, guys. We'll go to 6.
Public hit list featuring the names and addresses of over 30,000 New York City property owners. Because nothing says urban paradise quite like arming your local agitators with the target map. You probably heard about this. They're rolling out policies designed to squeeze out anyone with the pulse who refuses to bend the knee. And what's left when the dust settles? A ghost town populated entirely by Zoran's obedient little puppets clapping on cue from their rent-controlled pods. They love to pitch this utopia where everyone gets free healthcare, free childcare, and an equal slice of the pie, regardless of how hard you actually work. Translation, they want to build a glorious monument to mediocrity where ambition is a crime and the government owns your toothbrush. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel because unlike City Hall, we actually respect your boundaries. We have to start with this absurd hit list. Let's be real. The entire point of doxing someone's personal data is to intimidate, threaten, or harass. It crosses a serious line. In fact, it's a criminal offense. So why on earth is the mayor plastering private home addresses across a government website? Did they outsource their IT department to a cartel? Classic playbook from the radical left. First, they came for our ICE agents, and now they're putting a target on the backs of everyday middle-class homeowners. Take a look at this masterpiece. You click on the tax class and voila, a nice, neat little registry of names and home addresses. I'm not going to show you the page for obvious legal sanity-preserving reasons, but the mayor, he's totally fine throwing thousands of New Yorkers to the wolves right before he hits them with his shiny new second home tax. It's not just an invasion of privacy. It's state-sponsored intimidation with a smile. But wait, it gets even better. Because not only is Zoran playing fast and loose with your personal safety, his administration couldn't even manage a bake sale, let alone a multi-million-dollar tax shakedown. You'd think before hitting the panic button and doxing half the tri-state area, someone would double-check to see if the people on the list actually own a $5 million second home. But no, That requires competence. Now, the mayor is desperately trying to clean up aisle 5. Watch this.
I think we're always going to do everything that we can to ensure that we're communicating clearly to New Yorkers. And I think that what we've found thus far is when it comes to these letters being sent out, it is anyone that the city believes may be subject to the surcharge. And now the work will begin to ensure that if someone has registered their property in a trust or they registered their property in an LLC and they are in fact the primary residence holder there, that is something that is communicated with the city.
Guilty until proven innocent under Mamdani's rule. They throw you out on a public pillory, slap a scarlet letter on your front door, and then shrug and say, oops, our bad. Now jump through these hoops to prove you don't owe us a ransom. Even NY1 is forced to admit it. Longtime New Yorkers are staring at Zohran's modern-day enemies list and finding out they have a ticking clock. You now have until August 21st to scramble and prove your home is actually your primary residence, or else you pay up. Take one homeowner who got the golden ticket in the mail. He's told that if he can't magically prove his $5.2 million home is his main spot by their arbitrary deadline, he's getting clubbed with a $41,000 tax hike. So not only is Zohran shaking down every American who built a life through actual hard work, but the burden of proof is completely flipped. You get doxxed, you get stressed, and you have to spend your own time and money proving the city government incompetent. And let's not pretend this is an accident. This is the exact same mayor who filmed a dramatic social media protest right outside Ken Griffin's penthouse. Remember that? Calling him out by name, putting a literal target on his back. All in the same city where a major healthcare CEO was gunned down in cold blood just before that. Now, he scales up that exact same intimidation tactic to 30,000 regular property owners under the guise of stopping greedy landlords. As if shaking down homeowners wasn't enough, gentlemen.
Okay, I got the second part. We got Cat Lady. Just came out. Oh, I gotta play this one next.
Your wallet. Reparations. Zohran is eager to stick his hand into the pockets of New Yorkers today to pay for the sins they never committed to people who never suffered slavery. A taxpayer-funded reparations commission is about to drop its findings, and you just know it's going to recommend a massive cash payout. And what does Mamdani say? Put me down for a front row seat.
We often think about slavery and the complicity in slavery as being exclusively to certain geographic areas of the country. Right. Here in New York City, we were very complicit. And so I look forward to whatever those findings are. I can't give you an answer in advance of them, but I can tell you that this is critically important because this is also what it looks like to acknowledge what history truly was.
When are everyday Americans going to receive reparations for the damage done during the BLM riots? I can think of several families who lost businesses and some who lost loved ones. When do they get their payout? Or are we just forcing innocent taxpayers to fund a cash grab for people who were never victims of anything? Sounds an awful lot like Trump's bookkeeping case, doesn't it? Remember that? He was dragged through the mud and found guilty of a crime with 0 victims, all while the banks came out and said, yeah, they'd gladly do business with him again. Clearly, Zohran's priorities are completely upside down, and he couldn't care less about actual working hard-class New Yorkers. He's an anti-American subversive whose ultimate dream is to watch capital flee New York City so it descends into total chaos and ruin. Think about it. He targeted private citizens and doxed their home addresses because he wants his radical horde hovering outside their windows to intimidate them. He wants to strike a deadly blow right in the heart of American capitalism. A public official using the power of government to put innocent people's lives at risk, that crosses the line from political policy straight into criminal territory. And as if that wasn't terrifying enough, look at who he's pandering to. Zohran goes right into a New York City mosque and, after speaking, aligns himself with radical rhetoric that calls for holy war. I mean, you honestly cannot make this up.
I stand before you as the first Muslim mayor in our city's history, and this year as the first Jummah that I have attended in that new position. And to do so together, it is a reminder that in this month of Ramadan, as we find moments of reflection, of recommitment, moments of community, that we always do so together. And it is together that I am thankful to be here today, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity to lead our city. Assalamu alaikum.
وأسأل الله أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن يجعلني من المنتظرين لك والتابعين والناصرين لك على أعدائك والمستشهدين بين يديك في جملة أوليائك والفرج فيه للمؤمنين على يديك وقتل الكافرين بسيفك.
It's almost comical how Zoran will endorse that kind of extremism and pal around with radicals, and then turn around and lecture us about how Islam is a religion of peace. He proudly speaks at mosques pushing a radical agenda, and then screams Islamophobia the second anybody notices. He's waging a two-front war, one against the economic prosperity of America and another against our traditional values. He demands total tolerance for his hardline ideology while offering zero tolerance in return. He weaponizes freedom of speech to spew seditious garbage and then has the absolute goal to mock us for taking him seriously.
And also, being a Muslim democratic socialist, I thought it would be pretty straightforward.
You just saw like, well, what if I label myself something that scares people the most? I'm a Muslim democratic socialist.
If you scare them twice.
And I'd like to run your public transportation.
Wasn't enough.
Okay, those are two good ones from her today. Now I got the cat lady. Her dog got hurt yesterday, and I don't know what she's saying. So I keep praying for her dog again. She didn't say nothing on this video. I got like 7 photos from the Now page on the currency money. We'll go next.
Because if I post a picture of a lizard running across the street, I violated their standards. So let me tell you what's going on. So do y'all remember, this video got violated, what I'm about to tell you got violated. So do you remember me telling you to take your water hoses and fill up your jugs and just, fill them all up, okay? I'm going to try to be careful right here. It has now been confirmed that 7 states now have been hacked into the water systems. Now, here's my concern. What if these are just little test runs to see how hard it's going to be, or maybe they were just gathering information? Take it as you will. Do what you want. Got to be careful. The other thing that really gets TikTok to ban me, strike me, violate me, mute me is what I'm about to tell you right now. So the Big M in New York doxed all of his little rich celebrity followers. And the governor came out and said, well, this is public record anyway. All you got to do is go and search, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's right. If you sit down with a computer and you search and you go through every file, you can find that information. However, who has ever put it in a fucking format just like that where you have that person's name, their property worth, and their address and their information all in one file? So I wonder how long it's going to take for all of these Big M voters to realize this is a Trojan horse. Now, if something were to happen, let's say that people were to rise up and get Big M out of office, well, his people have already got the list. They've already got the information. Something is coming big. The Big M's are trying to take over America. And I, for one, am ready for President Trump to start really talking about this. Now, I don't know what could be done, but I did find this out. They're not winning because a majority of people ran and voted for them. They're winning because people set their asses at home, and all the ones that did vote showed up. That's how they're getting in. So don't forget, you got to vote in the midterms. And don't forget, this is biblical. And don't forget, they're here to dismantle us. They don't like us. I don't know what part of off with their heads y'all don't get. Don't forget, in their culture, a grandfather walking down the aisle with his granddaughter in her wedding dress, that's the culture. Now come on, TikTok. I know you're just anxious to violate me for this.
I guess she's okay. I guess hopefully her dog's good. I got a bunch of photos from Mel's page, you guys. Here's another stack of $100 bills. I don't know if we seen these ones yet. Says government plans to ease Forex rule for SEZ service exports to domestic tariff areas. That was that one. Not sure what that currency money, what that is. I'm just showing the people that has all this stuff. This one is kind of interesting photo. Anybody know what that one is? And this one here. Got one more. Then I got a 3-minute one coming up next. Well, I guess I got them all. All right, we'll get to a church video, trafficking 2.5.
Some clergymen quoted by survivors as actually having told them that they were serving God by allowing the abuse to happen, and that God would be angry if they ever spoke of it. Tonight, it is the state's top law enforcement officer doing the talking.
The public and many families put faith in the Catholic Church and its leaders in ways that we do not trust other establishments. But when such trust is betrayed with abuse to children, and there are efforts to cover it up, the call for accountability should be resounding.
Trust was betrayed across all 6 Roman Catholic dioceses in Illinois, according to the Attorney General, churches from one end of the state to the other. And the extent of cover-ups, hideous conduct, and criminal acts just now becoming evident, according to this near 700-page investigative report unveiled today by the Attorney General's office.
Significantly, the analysis reveals that each Illinois diocese underreported the number of child sex abusers in the Catholic clergy when they initially released those numbers.
Raul says Illinois Roman Catholic Church officials had provided the names of 103 substantiated child sex abusers. Tonight, the stunning new number of clergy abusers identified by state investigators at nearly 500. And the total number of Illinois children known to have been abused by priests and other Catholic churchmen at almost 2,000. How did it happen so often and easily? State investigators placed the blame in the Joliet Diocese squarely on the late Bishop Joseph Imish, who moved abusers to new parishes without revealing their past and provided little or no help to survivors. Cardinal Blaise Cupich tonight says Archdiocese of Chicago officials are studying the graphic report.
It goes back for me to my first years as a bishop 25 years ago. I sat across from a man who was in his 60s who told me a story, and I heard the voice of a 9-year-old kid who was abused. That has always focused me. It's an ever closure because there are many open wounds in the lives of people, and we want to attend to that. And we're not afraid to do that. We have done it for 30 years.
Tonight, after the former Joliet Bishop Joseph Imish was singled out by state investigators, the current Bishop of Joliet, referring to what happened there decades ago as unspeakable acts. New Bishop Ronald Hicks expressing profound remorse over the failures. Hicks observing tonight that some may think this was all over and commenting that no sin of such great magnitude as sexual abuse of minors should ever be forgotten.
Okay, I thought that was an important one. I got a 5-minute one coming up next.
Impound hearing, and they told me that they forwarded over to you guys that they wouldn't give me an impound hearing without $300. I've never heard of that rule ever in my life. I went over to the district attorney office where you're supposed to file your complaints on the sheriff's or the judge's at, and they have blatantly refused to take any complaints or anything. That is according to the district attorney policy. I mean, if the secretaries open up the book, I think it's on page 3. So, I mean, it's not even that far into their policy for them to understand. I did bring you guys another complaint form for you guys as well, and the tow bill. This time it was a total of $1,300 for less than 48 hours. And I've been asking for the guys, I asked for their internal government agreement and your guys' fee scheduling that they submit to you guys, because it shows their tow zone area, where they're allowed to tow, where they're not allowed to tow. I also have your guys' internal government agreement with Jackson County Sheriffs. They don't have traffic enforcement. They just pulled me over. I had my kids in the car, and the officer ran up, called me by name. I got the whole video and everything, but the point is, I got numerous of the same officer escalating the stops, and I told them, we're not escalating the stop, man. Call your sergeant, whatever, we're not doing this shit again. And literally, he escalated the stop while I was parked at the store. Took me to jail for a DUI, put a no contact order on me and all of my kids again. And I can't even make this up. And then I had a forced blood draw at the hospital. I was taken to jail. I was booked and released within 30 minutes. That's how intoxicated I was. And then my son was in the car. He's 18. He told the police that I just got done cooking dinner, that we were on our way to the hospital because I had just had a little girl, and that I haven't smoked weed in like 5-6 hours. And then I told him I can't do a field sobriety back. My back is broken in 5 places. I have no curvature of the spine. So I can't walk a real straight line like that anyway. I can walk, but I can't walk a straight line. So I mean, it's just a whole hoax of charges again. And that's because I filed a DPST complaint on Highway Patrol for operating inside the city limits as well, without an internal government agreement. They came by, somebody left a black trailer unhitched on the side of the road, and I clipped it on the side of my van, clipped it coming around the corner, and they came out and gave me a ticket and just, told the dude with his unhitched trailer that it was okay, which violates all your guys' rules, regulations, vehicle codes, city highway codes. And they said that they get to enforce the law on who they want to. And they pick and choose who they enforce the law on. And I do have all the officers recorded saying this. I record all their conversations. I record everything with the police officers. The way that your officer treated my son, to continue treatment. And like, I discussed to them, when you take a person's kids so many times unlawfully, you take all of his cars, you extort him out of money. Eventually, he's going to mentally snap unless somebody puts a stop to it. I've submitted plenty of evidence to you guys before where police have literally went out and arrested my mama illegally to make me plead out to 70 months. Underneath federal law, 18 USC for misprision of a felon. You guys all have a duty to report all this stuff that I haven't given you guys documentation for. Not just me, you guys. All the false warrants I provided for you, all the overreach of all these sheriffs, those aren't considered lawful actions. Once an officer steps somewhere where he's not lawfully allowed to be, and pretends to be lawfully, that's considered a private person for impersonating an officer. So these are all acts of impersonation of a Medford City police officer because they're not contracted through their charter. I understand charter, I understand jurisdiction, I understand your guys' federal grants, how officers are regulated by their data and they're regulated by their geographic, where they're only allowed to be the tow companies. I understand all that law. I spent 6 years learning the law. Everything, even a prohibited contact where they've done illegal wiretaps. So I'm in a house to stop, and can I please get my money back for my tow?
Have to wrap up a little bit.
Okay, but I'm done. I just want to know from you guys, they sent me to you guys. They refused to give me a tow hearing. Can I please get my money back for the tow?
This is not a dialogue. This is your opportunity to speak to us. We can't.
I'm asking man to man. If you're just going to say I'm not going to answer, I respect that, but.
And we can't converse. We can't go back and forth. So at this point, we've heard your
concerns. I'll leave this complaint here. The sheriff sent me down here.
Okay, I thought that was an important one to play. Let's see where I'm at now. Guess I'm up here. Nope. Ah. I gotta find out where I'm at.
Congressman Max Miller of Ohio should stay on the ballot after being accused of domestic violence.
New lady,
in case you're unaware, Moreno's daughter is married to Max Miller and is the very woman making these accusations. In legal filings, Moreno's daughter alleges that Miller threw boiling water on her, held a gun to her head, and broke their daughter's collarbone. She also just requested a restraining order, alleging that Miller harassed, threatened, and tried to directly communicate with her attorneys, even going as far as placing his hands on one of her lawyers. Keep in mind that this isn't the first woman to accuse Miller of abuse.
Former White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham wrote in her memoir that she dated a physically abusive man in the Trump administration and later confirmed that she was referring to Max Miller. You also might recognize Bernie Moreno as the senator who yelled this at Dr. Fauci while he was testifying before the Senate this week.
Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that?
So you're telling me that he has more smoke for an 85-year-old scientist than he does for the guy accused of abusing his own daughter and granddaughter. If you can't comment on the specific allegations because of ongoing litigation, that's one thing. But my God, have the courage at least to stand up for your family and say that this man should step aside. Because the way I see it, we have the new biggest bitch in the Republican Party. I thought that title would be forever held by Ted Cruz after he didn't defend his own wife against Trump when Trump called her ugly. But no, I look at Senator Moreno and I think this is a guy who can't stand up for his own daughter and granddaughter. And I just have one question for him. Who the fuck do you think you are? Senator.
I hope that lady was okay, guys. That's a new lady on TikTok. I got a few other ones that are new. God darn it. What is going on here? This one? Yeah, this is another one.
Today will be releasing 250,000 more commemorative Patriot passports, as they call them, featuring Donald Trump's face on it in honor of America's 250th anniversary. The thing is, they write, you asked and we delivered. I don't think anybody's really asking for this. I think the only person asking for it is the guy whose face is on the passport. The irony is almost too much. His face is...
Sorry about that one, you guys. I think she's against Trump, right? Sounded like she was against Trump. Here's another new one.
Control. But what is socialism really? A lot of people are saying that word these days, and I don't think people really understand what it means. Socialism is people helping each other, sharing resources, and making sure that no one is left behind. Well, what is capitalism? That's where a few get rich by keeping everyone else scrambling, where profit matters more than people.
Funny enough, how you described capitalism is actually socialism, and how you described socialism is actually capitalism. But continue.
They tied socialism to the Soviet Union and made it a dirty word. They used fear, media, religion, our schools to convince us that greed was godly.
See, people that are pro-socialist in America now, like this woman, fall for what they're told socialism is. That it's caring, that it's sharing, and taking care of people. But guess what? That's what the people who have lived in socialist countries were told as well, so that they would accept socialism too. But this is the reality of socialism in every single scenario. Socialist voters, Democrat socialist politicians. But they have to tell you that this is what life is going to be like for everybody. Because if they told you that this is how it was going to end up, no one would ever promote it. No one would ever accept it. No one would ever defend it. No one would ever vote for it. If they told you what the actual goal was, you wouldn't support it either. They have to butter it up with all these pretty words and utopian ideas. The difference is you've fallen for it. Smart people who understand history and how this has played out every single time, how it started and how it ended up is exactly the same. And it started exactly with what you're saying now. Don't defend it because we know that it's a lie. You don't have that discernment. You are the perfect target for pro-socialist politicians. Someone who will believe everything they feed you as long as they tug at your heartstrings, but don't question anything. They love you.
Another good one for the new lady on TikTok. I got a 3-minute one on aliens. 6 o'clock we'll be stopping at.
120 light years away? Because what the James Webb Space Telescope found in its atmosphere is the kind of clue scientists have spent decades hoping to see. The possible signal came from dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. On Earth, most atmospheric DMS comes from marine microorganisms, such as phytoplankton. Finding it elsewhere could be important. But this signal refuses to stay simple. One team reported that Webb's mid-infrared data favored DMS, or the related molecule dimethyl disulfide, at about 3 sigma confidence. Intriguing, but far below the level needed to announce life. Then other scientists processed the same observations differently. In many analyses, the sulfur signal weakened, disappeared, or could be explained by other molecules and instrumental noise. The planet behind this mystery is K2-18b. It circles a cool red dwarf every 33 days and has 2.6 times Earth's radius and 8.6 times its mass. Webb has found strong evidence of methane and carbon dioxide in its hydrogen-rich atmosphere. Those gases inspired the idea that K2-18b might be a Hycean world, a planet with a hydrogen atmosphere above a vast ocean. But no telescope has seen that ocean. The planet may instead be a deep, gas-rich sub-Neptune with no habitable surface. New models show that important parts of its spectrum can be explained without DMS or a global ocean. Even if DMS is confirmed, it would not automatically prove biology. Alien atmospheres may produce chemicals through pathways that rarely occur on Earth. That is why this story matters. From about 700 trillion miles away, Webb can separate tiny chemical fingerprints from starlight passing through an atmosphere. But turning those fingerprints into evidence of life requires repeated observations, independent analyses, and the elimination of every realistic non-living explanation. So could K2-18b contain real alien life? Possibly. But the honest answer is that we have found a fascinating planet, a disputed chemical clue, and no confirmed biosignature. Yet. Would you call this a promising lead, or is the evidence still too weak? Follow for more science.
Okay, that was a good one there, Morton. 5 more, guys. 5 more short ones. Next.
CIA operations. This one is, I would say, more of a psyop or a psychological operation, and it's pretty recent. So this is from 2005, 2006, and the CIA formally acknowledged existence of this program in 2014. So relatively new, because we talk about things like MK Ultra, which are 40, 50, 60 years old. So this one is relatively new, and it's called Operation Devil's Eyes. I think this is interesting. This is an interesting one. It's one that's not talked about as much. I think it is because it's not necessarily using illegal substances in the way that MK Ultra is to manipulate an entire population, but it is attempting to manipulate a younger subset of a population through the use of toys. And so they basically commissioned the father, Ronald Levine, of G.I. Joe toys, so from Hasbro, to make 3 different prototypes of an Osama bin Laden toy. And essentially the toy would look like bin Laden, but when it's exposed to heat, that part would sort of melt off or change, and then you would get almost like a devil looking person. And I'll post a before and after picture up here so you can see them. And the idea was you would give these to children in areas where bin Laden at the time probably still is popular and looked at as sort of a hero. And then when he changes into this devil, it would dissuade these kids from liking him and from joining Al-Qaeda. And so this is really an operation aimed at children. I think the CIA and myself, 'cause I was there then, was realizing that bin Laden appealed to kids and Al-Qaeda appealed to kids. It wasn't just to adults. And so if this appeals to kids, then they turn into adults who become members of Al-Qaeda. The program actually never got off the ground and it never took off, although there are some people that say, oh, no, these were distributed in Karachi, Pakistan. But I haven't seen really any evidence of that because the 3 prototypes, they do exist. One was sold for about $12,000, one was sold for $7,000 at auction. That would have been a cool thing to purchase via auction. And then the other one is at CIA, and that's it. Those are the only ones that I know of that are out there. So I think the idea that these were distributed isn't true because I do think we would have seen them. And so this was, interestingly, an operation aimed at children through the use of toys.
Okay, a regular one that we play. Okay, one lady, other lady.
Testimony of what happened to me this week. First off, you have to get rid of distractions. And these things in our hands are the biggest ones. Secondly, pray that you can receive a message. What I usually do every day when I pray in the morning is ask for revelation. Whether it's for me, for someone in my life, or for all of y'all. All the time, God talks to us through his word. And you know when it's from God because it's going to give you peace and not confusion. Sometimes you can hear him audibly. I've heard him twice in my life. And it was always to bring me peace at a bad situation. He'll either talk to you audibly, which is prayer, talk through his word, or prompt something in your conscience. For instance, if you've ever passed a homeless person and something in your mind said, give that person some money, it was probably God. You're in a grocery store and you get prompted to go over there and speak to that person about God. And whatever you feel led to say, it's usually what they need to hear at that moment, and they'll tell you that. And sometimes, like for me, it can take days for you to even get the answer, even though it's right there in front of your face. Now for my story. So most of y'all have already heard my testimony. You know that I have endured years of abuse. And with that, it drained my self-confidence, and I'm still having to work on that. Most people think my confidence is up to here, but it's usually down here, and sometimes non-existent at all. Well, this weekend was one of those situations. I felt horrible about myself, and I was going through something, so I asked the Lord to give me an answer about this certain thing. So I flipped my Bible open, and it goes to Proverbs. I don't even look at the chapter or the verse. I just start reading a couple verses, and I'm like, this is not what I need. So I switched to Psalms. Still didn't get nothing. Wednesday night came, and it was our Bible study, and I was in a women's class. And the instructor tells us to open up our Bibles to Proverbs 31. And this is what we read. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. And while we're reading it, I'm like, I feel like I've just read this. So after the Bible study ends, I start talking to somebody about the whole Bible study. And I tell them we read Proverbs 31. And it finally clicked, y'all. What I needed was a compliment to make me feel better about myself. And sometimes when we pray, we're praying for something we want and not what we need. Because I realized the night I asked God to speak to me and I flipped my Bible to Proverbs and I read the exact verses reread at church, I didn't realize that was what he was giving me, what I needed right then, which was a compliment and not what I wanted from him. And it took me 3 days to realize it, but it definitely helped. And it definitely brought me some peace. So even if you don't get the message right when you ask for it, it doesn't mean he's not going to bring someone in your life that is going to give you the answer, or it just isn't the time for you to get that answer right then. Remember, his timing is perfect. And with the week I had, I needed that realization on Wednesday night. It needed to be that night, not.
Okay, I got a few more. She was just about done. That's the same one. I think that was the same one.
Pentagon approaches automakers, manufacturers to boost weapons production. Why? Because the war in Ukraine and Iran has drained our U.S. stockpiles. And the last time Detroit stopped making vehicles and started making weapons was in World War II. I mean, do we really expect anything different when he's already changed the Department of Defense to Department of War? And now we have automakers making weapons. And senior defense officials have talked with GM, Ford, and others about shifting some capacity. So yes, this is a real thing. Listen up. Guess what hasn't happened since World War II?
That was a fast one. Just about over, you guys. A few more.
But there's also small chips on board called Avatar. According to NASA, Avatar stands for a virtual astronaut tissue analog response, which is an organ on a chip device, which contains the cells of the Artemis II astronauts. It's a small experiment flying aboard Artemis II that could lead to big impacts in healthcare, both for astronauts in space and citizens on Earth. And this makes me think of the film Avatar and how they were able to control genetically modified bodies remotely. It's just another example of revelation of the method. Listen up. So we all know that Artemis II.
Okay, that was 3 good ones from her today. Last one, you guys. I think it's 3 minutes. Ah. Trying to get one more in here. Come on. God darn it. My settings are messed up now. I think my settings are frozen. Trying to find that last one here. Nope. Okay, I think everything's gonna wrap everything up. Um, yeah, we're wrapping up the show. I've been on for 3.5 hours. Welcome, Sedona 3688. Is this your first time in chat? And I'd like to know what state you're from. And thanks for coming in and supporting. My regular time during the week is 3 o'clock, unless something breaks. If anything breaks, I'll be back on with the breaking news. So that's gonna wrap up for Monday the 3rd. And thanks, Mod, Flying Eagle, okay, Lucy, Carol, and there's Chico waking up, sleeping all day. You gonna say bye to your cousins? You gonna say bye to Bella and Ariella? So everyone have a great night. So God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Never give up. And signing off till tomorrow again. Another day, another day. Another day, another dollar. All right, we'll see you guys all tomorrow. If not sooner, if anything breaks.